You know, if me and you want to go and protest about something somewhere, we can do that, and you know that's probably right, actually. And that's the situation we face with the EDL. They want to come and protest and have their say about whatever they want to have their say about, and they will come, and they will come in their hundreds, and it's a matter of managing that.
Another group, United Against Fascism, will be having their say in Victoria Square. Councillor Josh Jones will be there.
We're not trying to be anywhere near the EDL. We're just basically trying to say that on the same day we don't want them to be in the papers, and we want the papers to talk about how great city Birmingham is and how diverse and multicultural it is. My biggest concern about Saturday is the fact that Barry's is going to be selling alcohol to members of the EDL.
Elsewhere this morning, 5 American airports are starting to screen passengers for signs of Ebola. How ready Britain is for tackling an outbreak of the virus is being tested today with an exercise involving medical staff at locations across the country. Actors will play the parts of patients, and government ministers will join doctors from hospitals and the ambulance service for the 8-hour exercise. Senior Conservative and Labour politicians are considering their strategies after the surge of support for UKIP in this week's by-elections in Essex and Greater Manchester. All eyes are now on Kent, where next month another Tory convert, Mark Reckless, will try to become UKIP's second MP in a by-election in Rochester and Stroud. The Football Association is to carry out an audit of football facilities in Birmingham as part of a mission to improve grassroots football. The FA chairman says he wants to see £250 million invested across the country to bring amateur football out of crisis. Greg Dyke told BBC WM they'll have a close look at what's needed.
Map the city and say what sort of football facilities does it need, and you do that with the local authority. Then you say, OK, we want 2 3G pitches, 2 all-weather pitches and 5 grass pitches or something like that. And then you build them with some decent facilities.
And in football today, the Albion striker Saido Berahino scored a late penalty to give England's under-21 team a 2-1 win over Croatia at Molineux last night. They'll now head to the continent for a testing second leg next week. Walsall will be seeking to continue a run that has seen them lose just one of their last 6 League One matches at Oldham Athletic this afternoon. There'll be full coverage here on BBC WM 95.6 from 3 o'clock. And Stourbridge make the long journey up to County Durham to take on Shildon in the 3rd qualifying round of the FA Cup. Also hoping to progress in the final qualifying round of the Cup are Tamworth and Hales Owen. We'll have reporters at all 3 games. A look at the weather, a chilly and foggy start to the day. This afternoon, a mixture of sunshine and some heavy and thundery showers. Highs of 14 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays 9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Hey up, Chuck. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Look at Molly mincing around through the studio. Rocking it. Rocking the style is not a sentence that anyone's ever said in their life. I'm an old man and I'm coming off coffee. I can barely string a sentence together, let alone a thought in my head. Lots coming up in the show this morning. We're talking about Paul Gambaccini. How do we apologise to Gambo? And was it fair that he was named? Because Paul Gambaccini, completely innocent of anything, yet for the last 12 months he's been living in the shadow of people all thinking he's a pervert. And be honest, whenever you see him on the television or hear him on the radio again, you're going to think, oh, there's that Paul Gambaccini. He's one of them, isn't he? He was on the list. And boy, oh boy, if Gambo's not on Radio 2 presenting his show today, then there's no justice in the world. You know Malala, that young lady, 17, when she was 14, she got shot in the head for reading a book. You know her? She's won the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, I was celebrating yesterday in my car. I say celebrating. I had an extra Haribo. Why not? It's the least I could do. And then I was listening to Danny Kelly's show, and some fella called in and said, yeah, Malala doesn't deserve to have the Nobel Peace Prize. And I thought, here we go, here comes a right old racist. He wasn't. He put forward A really, really good argument. So does Malala deserve the Peace Prize? And if you had to lose a toe or a finger, which one would it be, please? 03453 00 9956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
If I'm completely honest, it's going to be one of those shows. I know, doesn't it? What a middle class dilemma. I'm giving up caffeine and I don't feel very well. There are people dying of Ebola. For goodness sakes. The whole country is on standby for Ebola. Don't worry, guys. Ebola won't come here. They've introduced stringent checks at some of the British ports. Not all of them. That would be crazy. Some of them. And do you know, I think this is true. First tangent, 5 minutes in. Love it. I think this is true, OK? You know the stringent tests they're doing to make sure Ebola doesn't get into the country? Do you know what those tests are? They're not stood there with... What I imagine was they'd be standing there with heat-seeking goggles and visors that if someone walked past and they were kind of cool, if they're like a blue colour, you can come through. If they were yellow or orange, we'd like to question you. And if they were bright red, it was clear! Everybody clear! We've got one! I don't think that's what they're doing. As far as I'm aware, what they're doing is a flight comes in from West Africa... Some dude picks someone at random and says, can I just ask you a couple of questions? Where have you just come from? Sierra Leone. OK, thank you. And second question, have you been near anybody who's had Ebola recently? No. OK, welcome to England. I think that's what's happening. And if that is what's happening, that's insane, isn't it? That's not going to protect us. The Ebola questionnaire. That's not going to protect us. I think that's what they're doing. If I've got that wrong, you can correct me. 03453 00 9956. I was talking about that for some reason, and I can't remember why. It really is... that was it. My middle-class dilemma of giving up caffeine. I've done it before, and I felt thoroughly, thoroughly rotten. And I did it for a year, and then I just smelt a fresh coffee, and I thought, I'm going to have one of those bad boys. And I did. And now I'm hooked again. That's right. It's an addiction. And I got it bad. I'm jonesing for a cough, man. Spare some Nescafe. But I'm trying to do it again, and it's day 3 or 4, and I feel thoroughly rotten. I'm depressed. I've got an awful headache. My eyes, it's like someone's squeezing my eyes as though they were trying to put the pressure on. I can't sleep. I feel awful. I've got the twitchy leg syndrome. So if anyone's ever done this, given up caffeine, tell me how to survive it, because I am going nuts here. I'm going nuts. 03453 00 9956. Another thing is I'm in a new studio, so I haven't got a clue. Have I done something wrong, Joe?
Yeah.
What have I done wrong?
You've got the wrong phone lines up.
I've got Iain Lee up.
Yeah,
you've got...
No, you've got the wrong phone line.
No, you've...
Because you've got 5 to 9.
Oh, blimey.
And you need 1 to 3.
This is BBC WM 95.6. I hope you don't mind us pulling back the curtain and exposing, basically, the brains behind the show. It's producer Joe. It's you. Oh, and that means I get to talk to Malcolm.
Hello, Ian.
Good morning, Malcolm.
You crack me up, you do. You make me laugh.
We'll have none of that. We'll have none of that today. Can you believe it, Malcolm? The Ebola screening at some of the airports, not all of them, is them asking you, have you been near someone who might have Ebola?
No.
That's not going to do any good, is it? It's like every time I fly to America and they ask if I've ever been a Nazi or a member of a terrorist organisation, I always say no.
Well, I thought you usually asked the missus where you hid the guns and the drugs.
Exactly. This is what I do. If you missed yesterday's show, dear listener, you missed a humdinger.
Listen,
yes.
Headaches.
Yes.
Now, my missus used to get a lot of headaches and stuff like that, and then the doctor told her, don't buy decaffeinated coffee and tea, and she hasn't had them for ages now.
Well, hang on. Don't buy decaffeinated coffee.
Yeah, I mean, buy...
but do the exact opposite of what you said.
Yeah, that's it.
Do buy decaffeinated coffee and tea.
And they taste... You can get them at taste just the same. You know?
Yes, I'm glad you're not a doctor, Malcolm, because your advice would be, don't take this medicine I'm prescribing to... I mean, do take this medicine. Well, the thing is, I need to get there. I need to get to that stage where the caffeine is out. It's amazing what it does to you.
Well,
Mood swings.
Ian, I've been to some of my doctors. Sometimes talk to me like that, so it's not. That's where I must get it from.
Some doctors are rubbish. We have one doctor that we refuse to see now, and we refuse to see. I tell you why we refuse to see him. 2 reasons, and I've never been one of those people that's always. We couldn't understand what he was saying. He had a really strong Indian accent. And I've always,
I know.
I've always been one of those people that says, "Hey man, come on, you're just not trying hard enough." But my wife and I, we couldn't understand what he said. And then another time we went, his phone went, and he took a phone call in the middle of looking at my boy. So he's got his phone held up under his shoulder, and he's examining my boy. We went and complained immediately, Malcolm.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Malcolm,
some of them don't talk like they want when you're phoning up for about train times, and you can't understand what the devil they're talking about.
Malcolm, if you had to lose a foot or a hand, what would you lose?
Oh, crikey!
Yeah, if you had to, you had to.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Probably be a foot.
See, I would go for a hand.
A hand.
Well, because I would go if I had the choice, I'd go for my left hand, so I could still write, I could still play Pac-Man, I could still hold things, but you'd get more sympathy, wouldn't you?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, God, never thought of it like that.
Malcolm, you have a think about it and let me know your thoughts. 03453 009956. It's going to be one of those shows, and do you know what? I make no bones nor apology about it. We'll be talking about the EDL in a bit. That's what the show was supposed to start with. Is it true that the Ebola screening in this country is they just ask you a couple of questions? In America, at JFK Airport, which was named after President Nixon, they're doing the heat-seeking thing. They're doing like they do in the movies, and they're looking to see what colour you are as you walk through. Not what colour, but whether you're sweating or not. In England, I think this is it. They're just asking you a couple of questions. Is that right? That can't be right, can it? That's not going to save us from Ebola. Is anyone else starting to get a little bit sweaty about Ebola? I don't mean like that. I mean nervous. I'm starting to get a little bit anxious about this. And I don't normally buy into these bird flu, Chinese flu, swine flu type things. But this one is actually happening, isn't it? And this could come to this country. And if all they're doing is asking you, have you been near anyone who might have Ebola? No? OK, through you go. 03453 009956. If you had to lose a foot or a hand, what would it be? If you had to lose a finger, which one would you go for? I would go for the one in between the middle finger and the little finger. I was pointed out to me that's the ring finger. It was pointed out to me by several women working here. I think they're women, yes. The women are the pretty ones, aren't they? Yeah. Several women working here that's the nicest looking finger. That's the nicest looking finger. How could... No fingers look particularly nice, do they? Really? Are some fingers more attractive than others? 03453 009956. I swear to God that in a few minutes we will be talking about the EDL, which is how this show was supposed to start. I promise you that's going to happen. I say promise. I mean, I'm going to do my best. Right, it's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news. Here's Lizanne.
Thank you very much. Well, if you're heading out at the moment, traffic's still coping well. There's no problems to be aware of on routes into the city centre. So that extra traffic that we're expecting seems to be coping well, making its way in before the march today at 11. Looking good for you as well if you're heading through Tipton, despite the closure of the Tipton Road for the emergency burst water main repairs between Dudley Road and Johns Lane. Motorway-wise, the M5 southbound, a lane closed on the exit Slip Road at Junction 4 now for Bromsgrove through the roadworks. But the earlier problems at Junction 3 have cleared, so just a replacement really there for you. And if you're heading into the region on the M6 through Warwickshire, 2 lanes are closed, causing slow traffic northbound from Junction 1 to 2. That's Rugby to Coventry. It's a bit of trouble through that stretch. Northbound, though, absolutely fine. If you're heading up north on the M6, things are moving quite steadily for us. Trains seem to be coping well this morning. If you can update us, it's 08453 002288.
On a Wednesday, what we do is Dilemma Day. Now, Bridget in Albury, she writes this email and she says, now, Caroline, my son is dealing cannabis and my husband wants to go to the police, but I can't bring myself to report my boy. Caroline, I don't know what to do.
You can't turn the blind eye to it.
I think it's totally wrong. Anyone that gets into soft drugs and very easily spiral into hard drugs.
Whether he's dealing to his friends or not, he's dealing, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's dealing drugs, which is an offence under the Misuse of Drugs Act.
There are laws in the country for a reason.
Now, you can relate to this because your mum found your stash, didn't she?
Yes. I was in a not dissimilar situation.
Caroline Martin.
Monday to Friday, 12 till 2.
BBC WM.
95.6.
There's a phone in, if ever I heard one. What has your mum found that you didn't want her to find? Oh, guys, we can run... Thank you, Caroline. We'll have that. We can run with that. What has your mum found or seen that you did not want her to find or see? Yeah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. You've never seen someone hop to the other side of the room as quickly as possible to try and shut that door. Bernard's... We'll do the EDL in a minute, I promise. I think Bernie's just got that. Bernard's in Burntwood. Good morning, Bernard.
Good morning. You know me, don't you? I'm the pedal steel guitar man.
Oh, Bernard, you're a musical legend, sir. Welcome. You're always welcome. The door is always open to you and indeed your pedals and indeed your steel guitars.
Anyway, Iain.
That's correct.
Why I think my own personal view is why there's so many diseases and troubles. It comes from the poorer countries.
Yes.
Have got nothing. Do you know that 1/3 of this world hasn't got toilets, flush toilets, clean water, and that's where it all starts.
And yet
if there was a fair distribution of wealth, you wouldn't have half the diseases in the world and half the trouble. Do you think there's people that's worth millions of pounds could never spend it? Why have millions of pounds you can't spend? It's obscene for people to have more money than they can spend.
Are you suggesting that Richard Branson should buy Africa and brand it Virgin? Actually, that's not the worst idea I've ever had.
What I'm saying is this, that if they had got clean water, why shouldn't they, they're only on this earth for a time, why shouldn't they have a fair cut of the cake? Where people are greedy, they have 3 holidays abroad a year, and they've got 2 or 3 cars, and I reckon they're poor, some of them. They can't live on...
And what are you doing, Bernard, to change this situation?
Well, I pray about it every day. I'll give to charities.
The old prayer. And how's that going?
Sorry?
How's that praying going?
Well, they're answered in one way or another. All prayers are answered.
It's not... Well, if the prayer is, could you stop people dying in West Africa of Ebola, then that prayer isn't working, is it?
What I'm saying, you're trying to twist my argument. What I'm saying, if those countries had got clean water and things like that, and there was a fair distribution of wealth, which there isn't, 2/3 of the world have got more than they want, 1/3's got nothing.
Yeah.
Till that is resolved, that terrible word which nobody used is greed, till people stop being greedy all the while, we're going to get nowhere.
Can you believe that this... And I think I've got this right. I do hope someone can back me up one way or the other. That the screening process in this country, Bernard, is... They won't be using heat seekers or anything like that. I don't even know what a heat seeker is. They're going to be asking people if they've been in contact with someone who may have Ebola. That's not a screening process, is it?
No,
That's chugging.
The only thing that I think they can do... I mean, it's going to get worse, this is not get better... It's got to be quarantine. If you're there in that country and you want to come out, you can't come out. And they need all the support and medical help and all the different things, protection, clothing, whatever it is, disinfect, whatever it is.
Oh, so we should keep them prisoner in their country?
Well, I suppose really it's
that's not really a communist.
You've got to be cruel to be kind to solve the problem.
That's not a particularly socialist attitude.
No, I'm just saying that the epidemic is going to get worse, and they've got to try and contain it before they can beat it.
Bernard, one final question, sir, and I appreciate your input, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. If you had to lose a finger, which one would it be?
I don't really know, because with my instrument, I need both feet and both hands, don't I?
You've got to lose one finger. Which finger?
Well, it'd have to be probably the little finger.
On which hand?
On my left hand.
Bernard, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. I promised you that we'd talk about the EDL. Or we'd certainly use the EDL as a springboard for a conversation. And guess what, guys? That's what we're going to do now. Everyone has a right to protest. Isn't that what makes this country so wonderful? That if you want to have a protest, you can go and have a protest. Even if we don't like what they say. Well, the English Defence League are protesting in Birmingham today. They're being forced to hang out in one pub. What could possibly go wrong? Police say it'll be business as usual for the city and they've got no powers to stop the protest in Centenary Square. Well, you wouldn't want them to stop the protest, would you? Of course you wouldn't. It's thought the operation could cost up to £1 million. Well, I'm joined now by Dr Evan Harris, who's a former Liberal Democrat MP and civil liberties campaigner. Good morning, Evan.
Good morning.
It's right that they should come and protest, isn't it?
Well, I'm not saying it's right, this issue, but they have a right to protest, and this is a hard-fought right, and whether you disagree with them or not, I think people should defend their right to protest and the right to counter-protest, as long as it's peaceful and as long as what they say is within the law. And if what they say isn't within the law, you don't ban it in advance. That's called prior restraint, because that's a thought crime you're creating because they haven't said it. You prosecute them if they say it. If, for example, they incite racial hatred. But banning is never a good idea because it drives stuff underground, and worst of all, it creates free speech martyrs of people who are often quite extreme, and you don't want to give them the moral high ground.
What about those people, Evan, who say that what the EDL are talking about, what they're saying is repulsive, it's offensive, we don't want it in our town? What would be the argument to them?
Well, again, they can protest against the content, but there's no right not to be offended, so I'm not disputing. And indeed, perhaps the EDL don't dispute that what they say can offend people, might offend people. But the same was said, and I'm not making the equation, I'm just using the comparison, the same was said of blasphemy laws, that people should be prosecuted for offending religious sensibilities on blasphemy. Well, we haven't prosecuted that for decades, and we repealed it about 10 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's the same principle. People have no right not to be offended, and if you don't want to be offended, don't listen to it. That's why there are rules for stuff on television where you can't avoid it because it's beamed into your house. But no one's suggesting anyone goes and listens to what I consider to be the ramblings of extremists.
Are there limits, Evan, onto what should be allowed to be said and what should be protested for? I mean, supposing there was a group protesting that David Cameron should be murdered, would you draw the line at that?
Yes, so the limits are what is criminal speech.
Right.
Now, I think you should... as a former lawmaker, legislators should be loath to criminalise speech. But incitement to violence is and should be a crime. Similarly, directly abusing someone in the street, which causes them fear and alarm, so going up to someone, that is criminal. And similarly, inciting hatred based on race, which is an immutable, so it's a characteristic you can't change, as opposed to your political or religious views, that's illegal as well. But it mustn't be illegal to, for example, even incite hatred on the basis of someone's political views. I want to be able to say we should all hate Nazis, for example, or racists. And that may not be my style, but I shouldn't be criminalised for encouraging people not just to hate racism, but to hate racists, for example. So we've got to be careful about what sort of speech we criminalise.
You mentioned earlier on that these things should be allowed to go ahead if they're peaceful. They very rarely are peaceful because it's such an emotive subject that's being discussed, and it gets extremes from both sides.
Well, as I say, I've been on many protests where I felt very strongly, and I've never felt the need when protesting and shouting to throw a brick at anyone. And if someone does that, they should be arrested and prosecuted. It's very simple. So I don't think that it's automatic that strongly held protests need be violent, and violence should be prosecuted.
It's going to cost up to £1 million to police this. There will be people in Birmingham who think that is unfair.
Well, again, it's the price of freedom. Now, I'm not saying that there should be £1 million spent every day, and that's why there are rules. You have to have permission to do marches. So stationary protests, there are less rules about. But marches where the streets are involved, you have to get permissions, greater permissions, and one of the factors may well be cost. But the occasional protest, a political protest, even if you don't agree with it, that's what we have the police for, to protect the right to protest. And you can't pick and choose what we employ police to do based on whether you agree with the views, because that way lies the state choosing sides in a political argument. That's for the people to do through the ballot box, not for the state authorities to do.
Evan, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Dr. Evan Harris, former Liberal Democrat MP and civil liberties campaigner. So he's saying, yeah, of course they should be allowed. The EDL should be allowed to protest. And he's right, isn't he? You may not agree with what they're saying. You may think what they're saying is repulsive. I don't actually know what they're saying today. But they'll be pretty angry and they won't be happy about Muslims. I think we did ask the EDL, the English Defence League, to come on, and none of them did. Hey, if you're taking part in that protest today, you're more than welcome to come on, 03453 009956. But I guess the bigger question is, should they be allowed to protest? And there can't be any other answer apart from yes. Of course they should be allowed to protest, because guess what, guys? We live in Britain. We live in Britain, and we are lucky enough that we can go on marches, and we can wave banners, and we can say what we think within certain guidelines. Your thoughts, please. 03453 009956.
Iain Lee
On BBC WM
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Couple of texts. There's a Malala backlash taking place, and I'm surprised by that. Malala, of course, the 17-year-old woman who, at the age of 14, was shot by the it was the Taliban, was it? I get so confused these days, because she was in Pakistan and she was reading books. She wanted education for girls, and she's won the Nobel Peace Prize. We'll play a bit of a call yesterday to Danny Kelly's show, where someone phoned up and said he didn't think she deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. It's a cracking call, actually. He puts forward quite a strong argument. And it's one of those things I think people are afraid to say. I'm asking you this morning, do you think Malala deserves the Nobel Peace Prize? Matt has texted in, Malala bores the bleep out of me. Ebola tests, publicity stunt. I'm surprised they haven't got Malala doing it. I'm just reading them as they come in. Jane says, I'd get rid of my little toe in a heartbeat. It's always giving me jip. Here we... Oh, they're just pouring out of me today. They're just giving me out of me today, pouring out of me today. What's giving you jip? 03453 009956. What's giving you jip? What has your mum found or seen that you'd rather she didn't, and what's giving you jip? Oh, yes! Boys and girls, it's taken off, isn't it? 03453 009956. Millie, you old fruitcake.
Good morning, my darling.
Good morning, my love.
How are you today?
I've got a blinding headache, my darling. And I blame you.
Oh, dear.
No.
I don't get headaches.
You never get headaches?
I don't get headaches. I used to get toothache bad.
And what happened to the tooth? Did you whip it out?
I took some out, the back ones. Then was the one that used to kill me.
Can I ask you, Millie, you sound of a certain generation, old. Did you take them out yourself?
No, my dentist in Wolverhampton, in West Bromwich.
OK, because some old people take their own teeth out.
You can't take your back teeth out yourself.
Of course you can.
The back ones.
Of course you can.
And I laugh.
Of course you can.
Those days, the dentist, when he was taking my money, nearly fell out the chair, pull it, and then they're trying to pull the thing
Did he have both feet up on the chair, either side of you, and
racking my brains to death.
Yeah, he did what to you?
Terrible, racking my head.
Oh, you rattled.
No, yeah, rattled.
I wondered what. Yes, there's drilling and then there's drilling.
Oh God!
So he took the teeth out. Well, that's good to know. But so people can take their own teeth out.
I took out my teeth, the front, the thing, but the back ones I tried to get rid of them early.
Do you know in the 1950s and 60s? This is true, right? In the 1950s and 60s, do you know what people often got for their 18th or their 21st birthday presents?
My daddy gave me clothes.
Clothes?
In 60s, yeah.
Yeah, you got off lightly. Often, in the 50s and 60s, for their 18th or 21st birthday presents, people would have all of their teeth ripped out. That is true. That is true.
The 60s?
Yeah, yes, honestly, they would have all of their teeth ripped out because it was considered they give them, here we go, too much jip, and then they get false. That is a fact. And there will be someone listening who's going, yeah, I got that for my 18th birthday. 03453 009956. It's true.
Yeah,
I got that for my 18th.
I used to get a lot of tummy aches.
It's right.
Feels bad, Tummy ache, funny tummy, I know myself.
Funny tummies, what?
I used to get tummy, I don't know, just tummy ache, funny tummy. I was a little girl.
Right.
Tummy ache all the time. Right, now listen to me.
Why have your tummy ache stopped now?
Yeah.
Well, that's something, Millie.
Yeah.
That's something, Millie. Yeah.
I think it was a virus in the guts.
Millie's Gut Virus, everybody. There's a name for a band if anybody wants it. Good evening, we're Millie's Gut Virus.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, the archaea virus.
No.
Right, listen.
Yes.
You said this morning that the JFK were named after Nixon, President Nixon.
JFK Airport was named after President Nixon.
JFK was named after John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Who's that?
The President of New York.
Do you know what John F. Kennedy's first name was?
John.
No, it wasn't. What was it? This is amazing. Do you know what John F. Kennedy's first name was?
John Fitzgerald.
No.
Kennedy is name.
No, it wasn't, though.
What?
His first name was Jack.
It's not. And who changed it to John? The English.
I don't know. Honestly, this is true. This sounds like bullshine. His first name was Jack, and they called him John for short. I swear to you that's true.
He changed his name to John then?
No, he didn't.
So why his name is John when he's the president?
His name wasn't John, it was Jack.
But you phone him and ask him.
He's dead. He got shot in the head in Dallas.
I don't mean that. He got family in New York.
Well, I haven't got the phone number. Hang on a second. Have we got the phone number for Jack F. Kennedy's family? We'll give them a call.
Well, hang on a bit now.
And you say he was the president of what?
New York.
He was the president. So John F. Kennedy, whose real name was Jack, was the president of New York.
Listen to me.
I unfortunately, I am.
United States.
Is this going out on the air, or am I still asleep? Yes,
United
Millie.
States of America. Everywhere.
Yes?
Right.
Right.
Listen to me now, yeah?
JFK Airport was named after President Nixon. It's obvious. It's in the name.
Ian.
Yes?
I goes into JFK every year.
Who does?
I do not... Me, Millie. I know New York.
Me and you, Millie. Yes.
Do you know that?
No, what?
I don't think you know America like me.
Okay, let's play the how many times you've been to America game. How many times have you been to America?
Millions of times.
I've only been about 12. She wins.
Listen to me, Ian.
Yeah.
Majority of my family is in the States.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm Millie. I'm here to keep England up.
I'm Ian, and I'm here to keep Millie up all night.
To represent the British Indians. Listen to this now.
Yes.
When Steve was talking yesterday about that girl.
What are you talking about now?
The Asian girl that got the
Malala, yes.
Whatever she got.
Yes, Malala got the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right. And Steve called it Dan.
Oh, yeah.
My white son. And he said to Danny that the girl did not deserve that because there was other people that, she put her up there.
It was a good argument, wasn't it? He put forward a strong case.
But he was right. He said what he had to say.
Yep.
There are many people here in England that sitting there in their house that do not agree with it, but they're not going to call it the radio station because the British people do not like to come forward and say things. They always sit back.
Well, then this is why I when we're going to play part of Stephen's call.
They get scared.
Hello.
Might do this to me.
Can you hear me?
They don't like to come forward, Ian.
No, well, probably it's with you because they can't get a word in edgewise.
No, but if you want to talk, just as Millie, can I have a word?
Millie, can I have a word?
Yes, son.
Thank you so much. We're going to play a little bit of Stephen's call later on.
Yeah.
And I'm inviting people to step forward and see if they think that Malala deserves the Nobel Peace Prize.
I'm telling you, they're not going to come forward because the British people don't like to come forward.
But Stephen came forward yesterday and you've come forward.
He's not black. He's black, he's not white.
How do you know Stephen's black?
Because I could tell his accent.
Sorry?
I could hear from his voice.
Well, OK, well, now you've opened up an interesting can of worms. No, yes.
No.
Yes.
I would tell them myself.
Yes, no, hang on. Shh.
Hang on a bit.
No, button it. Because I've always wondered, are you allowed to make assumptions of people's colour by the tone of their voice? We all do, I think.
No, my voice, everybody, I'm a Bajan.
You're obviously a Chinese lady.
I'm a Bajan.
OK. What? So, So I thought, if we're going to play that game, I thought he sounded white.
You thought he sounded white?
I thought he sounded white.
But I always thought you sound black.
Well, I thought he sounded white.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
You let me tell you.
Yes.
There are, even some of the Asians might out there saying, maybe she gets it, but really.
Yeah.
There are others like soldiers and things that I know come from the army and they did such things and they never, because they meant it for the whole world.
Yes.
It's okay. Give her something like whatever you get, like an MBE whatever.
Millie, may I speak?
Yes, go on.
If you had to lose a finger, which one would you lose?
A finger, Lord Jesus, I don't want to use none of my parts of my body.
Well, you're going to have to, I'm afraid. Which finger?
I've got not the index. I need the index finger.
You need the index finger to point at people.
Hang on a bit. One of the small fingers.
Which small finger?
The one on my. Well, both of my hands. I use both of my hands. So, one on the right.
So the pinky on the right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Millie. 03453 009956. John F. Kennedy's real name was Jack, and I only found that about a year ago. That's the most insane thing, isn't it? His name was Jack. But I still stand by the fact that JFK Airport in New York is named after President Nixon. Keith's in Bartley Green. Morning, Keith.
Hello, mate. It is Jack. John F. Kennedy was Jack Kennedy.
What? Why? Why is that?
Well, I don't know. They just altered his name. He was when he became president, he was John F. Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
But I don't understand why the change from Jack to John. From a Jack to a John.
We years ago, my wife read a book.
Oh yeah, did she? Only one.
John F. K. And John F. K. And his family called him Jack in the book.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, isn't it?
It is one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can get any further. But you've not called in about that, have you, Keith?
No. I don't want to demean Africa in any way, shape or form.
But
you had a guy on the phone earlier on saying that all the millions of pounds that's in the world not being used should go to Africa because they haven't got this, that and the other.
Yeah.
But can I just say...
Go on.
...that over the years, Africa has had so much money poured into it and it doesn't seem to have made a difference. You know, honestly, it's sad, but it's true. I mean, look at Bob Geldof in the 80s. Live Aid and Band-Aid, and, there's been so much money put into Africa, parts of Africa. But I think also there's been a lot of corruption in certain parts as well. So
there has been a lot of corruption, and you're right, a lot of money has been poured into it. Although wasn't Live Aid specifically Ethiopia?
I think it probably was, yeah.
I can't really remember it. All kind of
I can't remember now. I wouldn't like to swear to you, but all I'm saying is, to be fair, an awful lot of aid has gone into Africa. Now, I'm not demeaning the Africans in any way, shape or form, because, but to turn around and say, Richard Branson and people like that should drop money in, they ain't going to do it. People who've got money, look at Cliff Richard, they've got money. Okay, Cliff's probably he does give some to his charity, but people who've got money, they just sit on it, don't they?
So Cliff Richard should go to Africa. There are many people who are thinking that's not a bad idea. But, Keith, so what are you saying then? We should stop all aid to Africa and just let them die now?
No.
We have to do something, don't we?
I didn't say that, but I'm just saying, that guy said we should be pouring millions and millions of pounds in.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, we've put loads and loads and loads of money in before, and it doesn't seem to have made a lot of difference. I think the strategy has got to be altered, where aid goes in and actually used and made to be seen to be used, and not used for other things.
Keith, you've got to lose a finger. Which one's it going to be?
Listen, I've lost half my leg, so behave yourself.
How'd you lose half your leg? What happened? Why are you laughing about it? That's incredible.
I had an ulcer in my foot, and it went bad ways 4 years ago.
Blimey, really?
Yeah.
And what do they take it up to the knee or something?
Below the knee, actually.
Oh, man.
I lost about 10 inches off my leg, and, that saved my life, anyway.
When they tell you, Keith, we're going to have to take off a bit of your leg, how does that make you feel? I can't imagine hearing that news.
To be honest with you, I had a very good surgeon who just retired, Malcolm Sims. And Malcolm Sims was so kind and understanding this team. They were so kind and understanding.
Yeah.
And I actually said to Malcolm, am I going to die? He says, no. He said, I think you made a very brave decision. I said, well, there isn't no other way about it. I mean, they told me the day before.
Yeah.
They said, Mr. Sims is coming to see you. I said, okay.
Uh-oh.
And he didn't just say, well, you've got to have your leg off. That's it. Like some people have told me, surgeons have said. He actually sat in front of me with my real wife. He had his team there, and we had about 20-minute discussion, and, told me everything was going to be done. And he was so kind about it, and for the last 4 years, he's retired now, he's looked after me since, and it got me through it. I mean, I actually said to him, am I going to get through this because I was poorly? And he said, yeah. You're going to have a life again, Keith. He said, you will, honestly.
And has everything been all right? You've got used to it?
Well, it took a bit of time. It's the first 18 months was terrible because I was in hospital for 10 weeks, 10, 11 weeks, and the first 18 months was terrible.
In what way terrible? Well, emotionally?
Yeah, I couldn't get used to this and that.
Yeah.
And, I was growling and snapping on occasion. I still have my moments, but I've got a lovely wife who's helped me get through it, and a few friends.
Good for them.
Who've helped me, and, I haven't got a wooden leg. Well, no, that's silly, I'm sorry.
No, what?
They call it wooden leg, but I mean...
I would get a wooden leg, and I'd do that thing of shoving forks into my leg. Go, hey, look, you think you're tough, have a look at this, and you ram a fork into your leg. Can I ask you a question, Keith? This is too personal, tell me. Can you still feel the leg that's gone?
On occasions, yeah.
Isn't that funny?
I was going to say to Carol, Carol, my big toe on my right leg's itching, or it's got a throwing pain. She says, hang on. And she'll feel around my stump. And it's probably halfway up my leg with the nerve. And she'll say, oh, is it there? And she'll actually rub it. But I do take gabapentin, which is a drug.
Yeah.
Which just tend to dull the senses, you know.
Well, Keith, listen, I really... what a fascinating story, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh, that's all right.
Have a good day, mate. Take care.
God bless you.
There we go. What a nice fella. What a nice fella. 03453 009956. It's funny that psychological thing, and I've heard that, but I didn't know if it was a myth, of when you have a limb removed, you can quite often still feel it. Isn't that funny? Thank you, Keith. What a cracking call. Douglas is on the line from Cannock. Morning, Douglas.
Morning, young man.
What would you like to say?
Well, it's just a fact. I was listening to the BBC a few minutes ago. I'm near 90. I'm 89, and
that is near 90. Yes.
I've got the same problem. Just a minute. Let me get this sound down on the.
Turn the radio off, Douglas. Yeah.
It's a television, actually.
Oh, what are you watching?
The news.
Oh, so you're not listening to us?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh. A bit rude.
No, I'm sorry about that, but I did. I used to listen to you, and. But this morning I was watching the news, and it's a complaint that most elderly people have got. That why is it today that most people don't talk normally? They just gabble.
Oh, who's been gabbling, Douglas?
Well, even the elderly people now, they just cannot keep up with the news, the weather forecasts and things.
The weather forecasters gabble.
Well, most people do these days. I don't know why. General conversation seems to be. They always seem to be got no time to speak as normal people used to years and years ago.
We're all so busy, Douglas. We've got things. I've got things to do. I shouldn't even be here right now.
Well, as I say, I've been waiting on the phone a few minutes now while the other conversation has been on. I didn't realise that, you were talking to other people.
Yes. Well, yes, I have to. Otherwise, I'd just be talking to myself, and that would be awful.
It would really.
So, what's your advice, Douglas, to the gabblers of the world?
To slow down.
Slow down. Chill out.
And chill out. Yeah, exactly.
Chillax. Should they chillax?
Well, why are people in such a hurry these days? It's like everything else. It's like everyone wants to be in such a hurry to get over, and yet it's like the trains and what have you. These extra minutes they're talking about this high-speed train. What are people going to do with that?
Here's my thing, Douglas. When I don't know if you've ever been on an aeroplane, but when you've never been on an aeroplane.
Oh, I have, yes.
Oh, okay, so you're getting the opposite of what you said. Well, the thing is, when you get to go on an aeroplane, and everyone pushes to try and get to the front of the queue to get on the aeroplane first, well, we're all going to end up in Mallorca at the same time.
Exactly.
We're all going to end up there at the same time. Don't push and huff and puff to try and get on the aeroplane. It won't get you to the country any quicker.
Too true.
My advice, Douglas, take a chill pill and chillax.
I think the elderly people worry too much about the youngsters living in a different age.
I hate youngsters.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I hate them. They're just so fast and noisy and colourful.
Exactly.
Douglas, listen, I do hope you call again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 03453 009956. Right, it's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Lisanne.
Thanks very much, Iain. If you're heading out at the moment, traffic is busy but moving on routes in and around Birmingham. The Hagley Road looking busy as you head towards the Ivybush traffic lights and up to Five Ways, but it is on the move. There's no significant delays. Extra traffic expected for the EDL rally taking place today in the city centre. Out towards Wolverhampton, traffic's looking well on the Ring Road. No problems through Dudley Town Centre. The High Street in both directions does remain closed, though, for the burst water main between Union Street and Stone Street. If you're on the motorways heading north on the M6, it's fine. If you're coming in through the Warwickshire stretch, the northbound, we have 3-lane closed following an accident this morning. The southbound from junction 2 to 1 is slow past the scene as there was a brief stoppage, so that's causing a bit of a knockback towards our region. Not doing too badly for public transport, but if you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel on 08453 8822 88.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Paul, I've just heard a loud bang outside. I thought it was all the Villa fans crashing back down to earth after Saturday. Turns out it's thunder and lightning, that.
It's your show and your opinions. How you tell me is up to you. Joe? Hang on, do we need to get to the air raid shelter?
Yes, we do. It's all hands to the pump down at the Blues at the moment.
However you like to get it off your chest, let's talk.
We do look a completely different squad. I don't know what's going on.
The football phone-in. Have your say with the legends. Weeknights from 6.
BBC WM
95.6.
Oh, it's a little bit of a stretch there. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. If you've been listening for the last 30, 45 minutes, well, you're probably as confused as I am. Shall I reset the stall ever so slightly? I've come off caffeine and it's doing my nut. I'm grumpy, I've got a headache and I'm emotional. Okay? Just telling you that so you kind of get an idea of where I am. We've been talking about Ebola. I need someone to concur or dismiss the rumour that I'm spreading that the checks they'll be doing at some airports and the Eurotunnel, which of course, as we all know, is a hot link for West Africa. It goes to France. The checks they're doing, it won't be like heat checks to see if someone's got a virus or something. They'll be going, excuse me, sir, if you just come from Sierra Leone. Yeah. Can I just ask, have you been near anyone who may have Ebola? No? Welcome to England. That's what we're doing, I think. That's not going to work, is it? 03453 009956. Hey, guys, if you're in Birmingham, are you proud that the EDL are protesting in Birmingham today? You should be proud. You should be really proud. It shows that Birmingham is a very tolerant city that is open to different ideas and listens to other people's opinions. That's a great thing, isn't it? That's what Britain should be. 03453 009956. And there was a cracking call on Danny Kelly's show yesterday. Stephen, we've yet to establish whether Stephen was black or white. It sounds like I'm being racist. I'm not. It ties in with something we were talking about earlier. Gosh, look at that hairy man on the television. Isn't he hairy? But Stephen phoned up and said, it's like a bear. My gosh. No, it was weird. He obviously shaves the neck but lets the chest and the face grow. Anyway, who phoned up and said that Malala shouldn't have won the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, when he first came... We'll play some of the call later on after 10. When he first came on Danny's show, I thought, here we go, boring old racist. He wasn't. He made a really good point. So, should Malala have won the Nobel Peace Prize? 03453 009956. It's Dave. Morning, Dave.
Morning.
What do you want to say about Malala?
I'm pleased she got it.
Tell me why.
I think she fully deserves it. Well, I mean, from what we've heard, the trauma that young woman has gone through already...
Yeah.
Purely because she was trying to work for the betterment of other people. You know, I mean, she's tried to educate her own age groups and, you know, I mean, when you think of all the anger, bitterness, rottenness, corruption in the world and in this country, you know, it's refreshing.
Now, listen, I think that what Malala has achieved is incredible. So in no way am I slurring Malala's name. Okay, at least that's what I'm hoping I'm not doing. But
right.
Has she just won the Nobel Peace Prize because she survived being shot in the head?
Well, if she has, then I think she fully deserves it anyway. But I don't believe it's just for that.
But what about the last caller we had on? He'd had his leg chopped off. He should get the Nobel Peace Prize. He had his leg chopped off just because he'd been walking.
Well, with all due respect to your last caller, you know, he hasn't had the trauma at such a young age as Malala has.
But there are loads of kids that are going through. There are kids. You go to any hospital, there are kids with cancer. That's traumatic.
Well, yeah, but we you know, I mean, Malala has apparently only ever worked for the betterment of other people. You know.
What has she achieved?
Sorry?
What has Malala achieved?
Well, hopefully she's educated some younger people before she had got shot. You know, so I mean.
But if she'd have, the people she'd have educated before she got shot wouldn't have been that many. And I wonder how many. I wonder what actual change there has been in the world because of Malala.
Well, in my humble opinion, there'll be a lot better situations in the world with more Malalas about.
Yeah.
You know.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, she's a young woman, and she's gone through more in a young age than most of us go through in a lifetime.
Yeah, I know, but still, she's only been on the radar for the last three and a half years, and there are people, Dave, who have worked tirelessly for their whole lives, 50, 60, 70 years, for the betterment of humankind. They've not got the Nobel Peace Prize. And also, the fella, because it's a joint prize, so she's won it with some Indian fella, right, who has been rescuing kids from slave labour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of waters down his prize, doesn't it, by having to share it with someone?
Well, no, you know, I mean, you know, to me, they've both got a share of it and they both deserve it.
Oh, if I'd won a share of the Nobel Peace Prize, that could happen one day. Part of me were going, yeah, Mum, I won the Nobel Peace Prize. My mum would say, yeah, but you're sharing it with that 17-year-old girl. That's not so good, is it?
Well, you know, it's up to individuals' opinions, but, you know, I mean, we need more Malalas in the world, not less.
Oh, I'll give you... Yeah, Dave, listen, I'll give you that. If you've got to lose a finger, which finger would it be?
I wouldn't want to lose any of them.
You've got to lose one.
Right.
Or the whole world will be blown up.
Right, the ring finger on the left hand.
Well, have you got any rings on there?
No, not yet.
Well, you won't get any at that point. I think that's the one I would go with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be the one. Dave, thank you very much.
Middleton,
Mile
Moseley,
Oldbury,
Pattingham.
Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
Go on, Malcolm.
Hello, Ian. Yeah.
You've been on already?
Yeah, but you told me to phone you back if I wanted to lose a hand or a foot.
Oh, yeah, it's my fault, isn't it? Sorry,
Yeah,
listeners.
that's it,
Okay, so you've had a think. Would you lose a hand or a foot?
Well, being a pensioner and a veteran and living close to the QE hospital, I would sooner lose a foot because I can see what you can do with feet. Plus, being a pensioner, I can't run anymore anyway. I only need to have something to walk.
Yeah.
But with your hands, you need your hands as a pensioner.
To move you, to do the wheels of the wheelchair? To do the wheels of the wheelchair?
Yeah, and all that.
Okay, so which foot are you going to lose?
Oh, well, it don't matter.
No, it
really.
does matter. It actually does matter.
Oh, I'll trust you to make it awkward.
Malcolm, give us a call later on when you've decided which foot it's going to be. 03453 009956. It does matter. Of course it matters which foot you're going to lose. If you're David Beckham, you're not going to want to lose your right foot, are you? That's your kicking foot. That's your goal. That's your bending foot. That's the foot that he bends with. When he goes out on a bender, he's using his right foot. Of course. Amulya's in Harborne. Good morning, Amulya.
Hi, Amelia. Yeah, thanks. I'd like to make a couple of points.
Go on then, fella.
First of all, about Malala.
Yes.
She's single-handedly, for herself, stood up against the Taliban. It's her bravery. It's her views which are being recognised. It's standing up against.
How has she stood up against the Taliban?
Well, she's put herself at the front. The Taliban made threats against her for pursuing her and women's and girls' education. But she stated that she'll still carry on doing it, no matter what they say. And these people have machine guns. They probably have a couple of Kalashnikovs.
Yeah, but she's
in their bedrooms.
You're not that. There's not that many of them in Birmingham.
There are not that many, but there are enough Taliban sympathisers in Birmingham for her security to be a risk.
Really? Well, the thing is, though, there are enough muggers and nut jobs in Birmingham for my security to be at risk.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's
and I'm standing out and saying that mugging and nut jobs are bad and we shouldn't allow them.
Yeah, but it's like a 1 in 10,000 chance that you'd get.
And what are the odds against Malala in Birmingham? 1 in 8,000?
Probably less than that, but hopefully...
1 in 4,000?
Much more than that. But
1 in 6,000?
Well, it's because she has got some security.
Okay.
One in the security, but standing up as she did at a young age.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
But there are people who have stood up to the... and by the way, I just have to stress this because people will be mishearing this.
There are other people.
I'm not knocking Malala. I think what she's been through is horrific, and I think she is an inspiration. But there are other people who've stood up to the Taliban, more face-to-face situations for longer, and they don't get the Nobel Peace Prize. Is it because she's kind of like a pop star? You know, she's a popular figure that we've all heard of.
I don't think that is. She's got personal attractiveness, and what she says is effective, and her manner of speaking, and the view she holds, and her resolute position. That's what attracts people. There are lots of people who stand up against the Taliban and being in the thick of it, but don't say anything. The person who states as well and is defenseless.
Yeah.
Right, as a young girl going to school, against these threats. That's what, and at such a young age, from the age of 11 to say 14 or 15 in Pakistan, and the SWAT area.
Yeah.
That is what draws people to her.
Have you ever been to Pakistan?
Well, I landed in Pakistan in Lahore in around 1973 accidentally because the plane had to make an unscheduled landing.
Oh, blimey.
But I didn't get off the plane.
I love Pakistan. I worked there for 3 months. I keep banging on about it. I love it. And I wish it wasn't so full of dodgepots, because I'm not going back now. I'd love to go back to Pakistan. It's a fantastic country.
I'd love to go to Pakistan as well. And also I wanted to say something about the Ebola.
Go on.
All they're doing is show. What they should do is check people's temperature.
How would you check that? How would you check that?
Well, you could do it with a thermometer, but there may be more advanced equipment which could, check, whether a person is feverish.
I'm being told by my producer Joe, who knows about these things, that they have laser thermometers in the United States.
Yeah, well, that is probably the type of technology you need. But it only takes a couple of seconds
to fall in
check
love.
Somebody's temperature.
This can someone? Because I'm saying this as though it's a fact. I'm sure it's true, but I need someone to back me up. I have heard, and boy, if I've got this wrong, isn't the BBC in trouble? I have heard that all the checks that we're doing in this country is simply asking people a few questions.
Yeah,
that's not going to stop it, is it?
That's probably right, and that's all. That's why it is. It's all show. It's not for any purpose. It's for the government or somebody else to say, or the airports authority to say, "Oh, we have checked against Ebola." I mean, they haven't done much about the Ebola outbreak. Even WHO, they should have restricted. Once Ebola is discovered in any area, it should have been quarantined there and then.
Should we? Here's a question. This is a genuine question. Should we lock down West Africa and stop people travelling from there?
I don't think lockdown of such a big area would be permissible. But when it outbreak with one or a dozen people, then there could have been a lockdown.
Amelia, listen. Last thing, important question. If you had to lose a finger, which finger would it be?
Well, little finger, left hand.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. Little finger, left hand. Which little finger did it bite? This little finger, left hand. Yeah, I know that's the poem. But 03453 009956. Coming up, we'll hopefully hear from Malcolm which of his feet he'd like to lose. And how on earth do we apologise as a nation to Paul Gambaccini? If he's not on Radio 2 today, it's a crime.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Hey, look, it's bang on 10 o'clock. Let's get the news now. Here's Rebecca Dixon.
It's business as usual in Birmingham today. That's the message from business owners and police as they prepare for an English Defence League protest in the city. Protesters will be held in Bar Reza on Broad Street before the demonstration in Centenary Square. Mike Ollie's the manager of Broad Street. He says they're expecting it to be over by late afternoon.
Substantially, it is business as usual. There's a few precautions to be taken, but substantially, I mean, some of our bars are opening late. But I guess the business as usual thing. This evening it will be. I mean, last year once the EDL had gone, people didn't even know they'd been there within half an hour or so.
There will also be a counter-protest by the group United Against Fascism nearby in Victoria Square. Dr Evan Harris is a former Liberal Democrat MP and a civil liberties campaigner. He says both sides have a right to protest.
As long as it's peaceful and as long as what they say is within the law, and if what they say isn't within the law, you don't ban it in advance. You prosecute them if they say it. If, for example, they incite racial hatred. But banning is never a good idea because it drives stuff underground, and worst of all, it creates free speech martyrs of people who are often quite extreme.
In other news, doctors, nurses and paramedics across the UK will take part in a major exercise today to test how ready they are to deal with a potential outbreak of Ebola. The emergency services, government ministers and health chiefs will all be involved in the 8-hour rehearsal. To Kent next, where UKIP will be campaigning for what it hopes will be its next by-election victory in the constituency of Rochester and Stroud. The second Conservative MP to convert to Nigel Farage's party will contest the seat next month. This week, UKIP gained its first elected Westminster MP in Essex and boosted its vote share in Greater Manchester. And a Birmingham MP says he plans to appeal after losing a court case about green waste in the city. John Hemming took the council to court over the amount of garden waste being dumped after the local authority introduced a charge for collecting it. But the judge ruled in the council's favour and ordered the Lib Dem MP for Yardley to pay £13,000 in costs. A look at the football, and Walsall will be hoping they can continue a run that has seen them lose just one of their last 6 League One matches at Oldham Athletic this afternoon. There'll be full coverage here on BBC WM 95.6 from 3 o'clock. Sadler's defender Ben Purkis says Oldham are in decent form and it promises to be an entertaining game.
Last season when they came to our place, I thought they looked a really good side. They moved the ball well, played the right way. I expect a tough game because I also understand they're on, a decent little run like ourselves. Maybe drawn a few more than they would have liked, but they've been hard to beat, so it'll be a tough test.
Elsewhere, Stourbridge make the long journey up to County Durham to take on Shildon in the third qualifying round of the FA Cup. Also hoping to progress to the final qualifying round of the competition are Tamworth and Halesowen, and we'll have reporters at all 3 games. A look at the weather, a chilly, foggy start to the day. This afternoon, a mixture of sunshine and some heavy and thundery showers. Highs of 14 degrees Celsius, that's 57 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
Yeah.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. What have we talked about today? Well, Birmingham, you should be proud that you are hosting the EDL March. Well done you. Whether you agree or disagree, you are allowing young people to speak their minds, and there can't be anybody who argues with that. Well, you can argue with it because that would be you speaking your mind. Huh? You've got to lose a finger. Which finger is it going to be? We'll find out which foot Malcolm in Bourneville wants to lose. And there seems to be a little bit of a Malala backlash. A Malala backlash, no doubt. We're going to play a call in a bit from Danny's show yesterday where, well, a gentleman questioned whether Malala should have won the Nobel Peace Prize. And do you know what? He put his point quite well. It's not often I do this, but I've been told that there are people called Stanley and Lulu listening. Stop listening. You're too young for that. You're too young. Very naughty Stanley, very naughty Lulu. It's my mate's kids. But they are very, very naughty children. And I'm not, in fact, you know what? I'm not doing anything till they stop listening.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM
95.6.
Not doing anything until they stop listening. Stanley and Lulu, stop listening. Good, they've gone. Right, Peter's in Birmingham city centre. Good morning, Peter.
Hi there.
Are you proud that the EDL are doing a march today in Birmingham?
I don't know much about it, but I've just thought I wouldn't like to be picking up the bill for the police. I've just come through there, and there are hundreds.
It could be up to £1 million.
Unbelievable.
OK, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens throughout the day. What would you like to say, Peter?
This Malala thing.
Yes.
Who's paying for her education?
We probably are. She goes to a state school, I believe, so we're paying.
A state school?
No, hang on. I don't know what school she's going to. Which is the one that normal people go to and not posh people?
I don't know.
I have no idea what school Malala's going to. I'm assuming that we're paying for it. What's your beef?
She's come over here. Unfortunately, she's been shot.
She's come over here.
People do get shot.
Yeah.
So she's come over here. She's been repaired.
Yeah, they fixed her.
She can't have been that bad because she's at school now.
She got shot in the head.
Yeah.
14-year-old girl got shot in the head for reading a book.
Yeah.
And she has the cheek to come over here and use our National Health Service.
I didn't say the cheek. She was brought over here because they could repair her.
Yeah.
You've got people like Michael Schumacher that's been hit in the head.
Multi-millionaire Michael Schumacher, yeah.
And he hasn't recovered.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking, why hasn't she gone back to Pakistan now she's been repaired?
Because she'd be murdered. She'd be murdered instantly by the Taliban.
All right, so it's good old Britain again to the rescue.
Oh, hey, listen, Peter, if you want to send now a 17-year-old woman back to Pakistan to be shot almost immediately, then, you know, you could certainly write to your MP about that. There might be some, Peter, who think
the Pakistanis might come over here and shoot her.
They might well do that. But, Peter, there will be some that think you wanting to send a young woman to a country where she'd certainly be murdered. Some might think that's a little, how can I put it, cold.
Really? Great show, Ian.
Thank you, Peter. Let's put this out there, because I'm shocked. Let's put this out there. Is there anybody who thinks that Malala should be sent home? I love the way he said, she comes over here, she gets repaired, why don't we send her back? She'd be murdered instantly. Yeah, that's why, yeah. She'd be killed within hours, probably, if we sent her back to Pakistan, so I think it's brilliant that we keep her in this country. And that's all right, isn't it? 03453 009956, the Malala Malarkey. President Obama has congratulated Malala Yousafzai on winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Mr. Obama said she'd faced threats and risked her life to improve the world. He described their success as a victory for all who strive to uphold the dignity of every human being. Well, 17-year-old Malala now lives in Birmingham after being treated for her injuries in the city. Well, I was listening to Danny Kelly yesterday, and just when the news broke that she'd won the Nobel Peace Prize. And there's me going, yes, brilliant, well done. Well, then Steve called up Danny, about 11:40 it was yesterday, and, well, Steve put forward a different point of view. Have a listen to this.
I don't share the same sort of enthusiasm that your colleague shares. I honestly believe that the appointment of this Peace Prize, it's more of a political thing as opposed to what has this girl actually done. Now, if we look at Gandhi and we look at the length of time that he actually strove against the Brits and fought against the Brits in order to achieve something for his people, we look at Henry Kissinger. Well, Gandhi never got it, as you've just said. We look at Henry Kissinger. We look at Nelson Mandela. We look at Mother Teresa. We look at people who've actually achieved something. All I'm hearing with Malala is someone who has been put in the forefront. Yes, she is talking, but what has she actually done? What has she achieved? If we look at her partner, you look at the chap who actually got the award together with her, is it Kailash Satyarthi? What he's actually done, he's set up organisations in order to relieve children from poverty around the world. I honestly think that the way we present Malala, we're putting her up there with a lot of people she should not be with.
Well, there you go, you see. That was Stephen on Danny's show yesterday. And when he came on, I thought, here we go. And by the way, Millie thought that was a black gentleman. I still think that's a white gentleman. It's hard to tell from voices. Irrelevant, but just a point we were talking about an hour ago. When he came on, I thought, here we go. boring old racist. But he wasn't, was he? He put forward a really strong point. And he wasn't knocking Malala. He wasn't being disrespectful to her. His point was, well, actually, what has she achieved in comparison with people who have achieved a heck of a lot more? And it kind of got me thinking. And listen, I am so proud that she's in this country. I am so proud that we let her come to this country, that we treated her, that we fixed her, and that she goes to a school in Birmingham. Isn't that wonderful that we as a nation can do that? And I think the last caller there was a little bit unfair, saying that we should send her back to her certain death. But the Nobel Peace Prize? 03453 00 9956. Ahmed's in Erdington. Morning, Ahmed. Oh, no, you're there. Sorry, boss. What have you got for us?
Oh, you got a lovely programme again.
Thank you very much.
To be honest with you, I remember when she was brought up into QE Hospital, and I was in the hospital at the same time for a minor operation, and when I heard the news, to be honest with you, I felt so grateful that we live in such a country where the only country would have had her, and she'd been treated so quickly. And I'm not bothered about the prize. I don't think she's bothered much about the prize. I heard her speech yesterday. It's just, people should be so grateful that they live in such a country where she's been treated very well and she got best education. She goes to the best girls' school, which is by the Birmingham Uni. It's one of the best schools in Midlands.
Well, we had a fella on a minute ago, yeah. And I would love to have heard you two together saying.
I was trying to talk. They put me on hold, but I know that I couldn't just interrupt. But that guy is so short-sighted. I don't know what.
He wants to send her back to Pakistan. Well, that's just insane, isn't it?
Pakistan is a country. We had this discussion before. 70% of people don't even see the school. Never mind the education, they don't go to school. There's no basic education. There's nothing such like this country. That's what I keep saying to you, that people should be so grateful that they live in a country and they save somebody's life is in God's hand, but still, without this country, I don't think she'd have survived. She wouldn't have this kind of treatment in Pakistan, I bet you anything.
Should she have won the Nobel Peace Prize, though?
I think she deserved it.
What has she done? What has she done to win that prize?
Well, I don't need to repeat what other people have said, that she was very determined to go for the education and save other people, other people were threatened by the Taliban. Taliban are really nasty people.
Yeah, they're very nasty people, very naughty.
I never support them because they are not, they call themselves Muslim, but in Islam it says, even if you have to go to China to educate yourself, go to China. China is far away from our country.
Very far away.
Country. So this is what Islam is all about, education, yeah? Education girls, education boys. Education is very important in Islam.
Ahmed, very quickly, because I've got to go to the travel in a second. You've got to lose a finger. Which finger is it going to be?
No, don't ask me that question. I'll ask you rather. Which finger would you lose?
I would lose the ring finger on my right hand.
Yeah, don't lose that ring, all right?
I'm hoping I can keep my ring. Which finger are you going to lose? Come on.
No, my sixth finger.
Your sixth finger?
I got 6 fingers, all right.
Oh, blimey. Now, I think he's joking, but as I said this earlier on, there was a woman in the petrol station opposite where I used to live whose name was... it was an anagram of vagina, with just 2 letters swapped around, I know. And she had a 6th finger. She had a 6th finger. A little finger was growing out of her other little finger. And she put nail varnish on it. I suppose you would, really. Would you need to get special gloves? How does that work? And it's more common than you think. The number of people with 3rd nipples or 6th toes, it's really... I bet... Right, give us a call now if you've got an extra part of your body. Webbed toes is very common. You're right, producer Joe. Yeah, very, very common. If you've got an extra part of your body, 03453 009956. Let's see if we can create a child out of your extra parts of body. I bet we can do it by midday. Oh, this is actually going out on the radio. I can only apologise. It's 10:15. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel with Lizanne.
Thank you. Feeling a bit queasy now. If you're heading out and about at the moment, traffic's moving well on key routes in and around the city centre. Looking much better on the Hagley Road, which was busy around the Ivy Bush traffic lights, but things seem to have eased off a little bit there. Not looking bad at all as you're heading out towards Wolverhampton and Dudley. They're both looking pretty clear on the cameras and sensors. If you're motorway bound, the northbound M6 up to speed and running well. Southbound also coping nicely. Earlier in the Warwickshire stretch, it was a bit slow going from 2 to 1 as you're approaching the M1, but it's all looking clear through there again. An earlier accident on the northbound carriageway still being dealt with, but traffic southbound moving well. If you're making your way out onto the trains at the moment, just having a quick look at public transport services, they all seem to be running very well for us at the moment. City centre of Birmingham ahead of the ADL march. It's looking busy, but traffic coping. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel on 08453 002288.
The new Police and Crime Commissioner for the West Midlands, David Jameson.
And it would be right that any public organisation reflected the diversity.
I'm not having that at all. It's not that, is it? It should be the best person for the best job.
A new champion for the West Midlands.
Release of Mozambique, humiliation for the West Midlands Police Force. It's very unfortunate.
You've got a question now that you want to put to the Police and Crime Commissioner of what are you going to do about this?
Yeah, well, I'm very sorry that Martin is having this particular problem.
A new hero for mid-mornings.
That is your message to the victims' families. You need compelling new evidence.
The case is not closed.
Unless there's compelling new evidence.
The case is open.
Danny Kelly, weekdays from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
Here's a story I found in the newspaper. It turns out if you're stupid, you could actually be a genius. Have you seen this story? No, don't point at me. This is brilliant. Red Bull, okay? Red Bull, the drink, the energy drink. I can't touch that stuff. It drives me nuts. Red Bull is to pay its customers £8.1 million after a judge agreed that its slogan, Red Bull gives you wings, wasn't true. What? We know it's not true. Red Bull doesn't give you wings. Anyone in the US who bought a drink after 2002 will get $10, about £6 in cash, or merchandise worth $15, £9 in cash. What? Is this real? How do I get... Have you heard... Let me read this again. Red Bull is to pay customers £8.1 million after a judge agreed its slogan, Red Bull gives you wings, wasn't true. Well, duh. Oh, here we go. Look, that does tie in. We'll do that in a second. Well, duh. Red Bull doesn't actually... I've drunk 25 cans of this stuff and I still can't fly. Well, duh. I'm so dumb I can't even say duh properly. Anyone in the US who bought a drink after 2002 will get $10 in cash or merchandise worth $15. That's insane. How do I get me some of that action? I must have had a Red Bull since 2002. I must have had a Red Bull at some point. Yes, in fact, I remember I was drinking it just yesterday, hoping it would give me wings. It's an Austrian. They're Austrian Continentals. You see, they can get away with anything over there. That's insane, Jill. Can you believe that people have actually sued Red Bull because it doesn't give you wings?
I was married to an American for some years, and I could believe it of the Americans.
Yeah, well, yes,
they could probably give you wing more than wing.
Yeah, exactly. But boy, oh boy, I'm sorry you were married to an American, Jill. I hope everything's all right now.
You me both.
Go on, what have you got for us?
Anyway, you was on about Malala. I don't agree that she should have got the Nobel Prize, and I can't say I found who I think should have got it.
Yeah.
But also another thing that stuck in my claw was the fact when they asked her to open our new library, her name is up there.
Yeah.
And I felt as a Birmingham citizen that honour should have gone to the widow of the young lad that was killed. Ripley, was it?
Well, yeah,
think of his name being up there.
Why? Tell me why. Tell me why.
Well, it would have been an honour because he was serving his country.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve to die the way he did. It must have been awful for his family, and that would have put some salve on the wound of losing him.
But,
and anyway, Malala goes to... I think it's Westbourne or Edgbaston High in Harbour.
Which I've been told we think is a private school.
It is. It's 15, as far as I can remember. I can't give my friend's name's daughter there because she's there at the same
That would be
school.
inappropriate, yes.
It's about £1,500 a term.
Well, and it's good that we pay that for Malala, isn't it?
Well, I think the school pays
Beautiful.
it. I won't swear to it.
Well,
but,
the thing is, the reason that Malala... one of the reasons that she was asked to open the library, and I think that was a good thing, is because her whole campaign is about reading, is about education. She got shot because of a book.
It's reading and education for her own kind.
What does that mean?
Well, from Pakistan, the way the young girls are treated over there, I can understand what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
But it's not for us over here, is it? And I'm not being racist.
But-
She's probably a lovely girl.
Yes.
But I thought, you know, if this name would have been on the breed,
But
how
with-
nice it would have been for them.
With the greatest of respect,
Yeah.
to have a soldier's name on there, there's not really, even if they've given their life, there's not really a connection to books and education, is there?
That was the way he died, is what I'm at.
Well, yeah, but some people, it was a bit. We're talking about Lee Rigby, are we?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, so that's
It's
right.
just my opinion, Ian, that's all.
I know there are lots of people in Birmingham who were very upset that it wasn't a local that opened the library.
Yeah, they could have asked me. I mean, the only trouble is I'm 4'9". I probably couldn't have reached the curtain.
That would be the thing, pulling the curtain. And also, I'm guessing you'll just be reading the Catherine Cooksons in the large print section.
No, I'm reading Daniel Steele.
Oh, you muck! They're filthy, aren't they?
Oh, they're bloody lovely.
What's happening at the moment in it?
Listen, I'm 77. I can't get no action now.
So you might as well
I
just-
have to read the books.
Yeah, well, Jill, thank you very much indeed. I think we'll leave that there. 77, 4'9". Yeah, put your banana down, producer Joe. 4'9". That reminds. Sorry, there's such a lot in the papers today that I want to. You know where I'm going with this, don't you? This story is great. It's in all the papers. Dwarf takes fiancée for romantic meal, and is handed a colouring book. Yeah, I love it. Bernie's laughing. You know, it's a good one when Bernie laughs. You know, you're onto something. When James Lusted walked into... Oh, have you had a colouring book, Bernie? Because you're wee. Have you really? She's only wee? Oh, no. They're good fun, though, those colouring books. Tell you the ones in Giraffe. When James Lusted walked into a restaurant for a romantic meal with his fiancée, he expected to be handed a menu. He didn't think the waitress would also try to give him a children's colouring book and some crayons. Unfortunately, the well-meaning Harvester employee had mistaken him for a child, because while 26-year-old Mr. Lusted, who has dwarfism, is just 3'7" tall, his 20-year-old fiancée, Chloe Roberts, towers over him at 5'7". How does that work in the... How do they get the Danielle Steels going? It was only when the waitress heard Mr. Lusted's deep voice, "I'm not a kid, love," that she realised her mistake. While she was covered in embarrassment, her gaffe was the highlight of the night for the couple, who've been laughing about it ever since. Mr. Lusted said, "As I said thank you to the waitress for the menu," "Thanks, love," "she heard my voice and knew I wasn't a child." She immediately put the colouring book behind her back in shock. But I am man enough to see the funny side. I would never take offence. I love that story. Isn't that brilliant? Sometimes those colouring books, having two boys, those colouring books are the best things about a lot of those restaurants. There's a lot of fun, word searches and stuff, a lot of fun to be had.
Penn, Pensnet, Rugeley, Redditch,
Rowley Regis. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM.
95.6.
Jackie says, we don't pay for her education and we didn't pay for her treatment. Her father has a job and he pays taxes. Interesting you mentioned Malala's father. Martin in Castle Vale says, in my chair, I would say Malala, with no disrespect, is her father's puppet. See, I don't know the full story about her, and I don't know. That's my opinion. Everything she says or does is on account of her father's direction or advice. Am I wrong or right? Well, I would suggest that being shot by the Taliban was not on her father's suggestion. Martin also says, here's one for you. Would you rather have legs or wings? It would have to be... No, that's not the option. The option is not arms or wings. The option is legs or wings. Let's ask... Sheila?
Hello?
Legs or wings? What's it going to be?
Oh, legs.
I think legs. I'm not a very good flyer. And I think I would get motion
and I'm
sickness.
not ready to go yet.
No, exactly. Well, no, I see what you've done. I get motion sick, and I don't like flying in an aeroplane. Do you know what? I have to be facing the front on an aeroplane. If I turn around and walk to the toilet, I feel instantly nauseous.
Oh?
Yeah, there you go. That's left you stumped. Sheila, what would you like to say?
Well, I think you just answered my question.
Oh.
Malala's father and mother, are they working in this country to pay taxes to help pay for the hospital life?
According to Brownie J on Twitter, and I wouldn't normally quote her as a reliable source, but it's all I have at the moment. Yes, her father does have a job and he does pay taxes.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
But if he didn't, would that still be all right?
No.
Why not? 14-year-old girl been shot in the head. Why should we not rescue her?
Well, yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
But considering they've been rehoused, haven't they?
I don't know. And people, let's assume the worst. Let's assume they have.
Yes. Well, then they should be out working to help pay taxes.
Yeah.
Mother and father, because she's old enough to be left alone, apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Well, let's put it out there, Sheila. There'll be people who know more about this than I do. 03453 009956 is the telephone number should you wish to give us a call on that. You can email as well, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Or you can give me a text, 81333, start your text WM. Now, here's a story that you may not have heard yesterday or today. The broadcaster, Paul Gambaccini, will not be prosecuted following allegations of sex offences in the 1980s. The 65-year-old DJ said he'd suffered 12 months of trauma after being arrested by police from Operation Yewtree. He was arrested a year ago. He's not been able to work for a year. He's kept a pretty low profile for a year. Life ruined? Possibly not, but still, how do we apologise to Paul Gambaccini? 03453 009956. Mark Stevens is a media lawyer. Morning, Mark.
Good morning.
It's been a year. How would this kind of process work?
Well, of course, the police have a lot of inquiries to make, and it becomes increasingly complex and takes much longer where they are historic allegations, and they obviously need to be properly investigated in order to ascertain whether there's any foundation for charges or not. And of course, in this case, Paul Gambaccini is the innocent man that he started this process. But I think it's important to understand that whilst one would have a degree of sympathy with somebody who is in the public eye and has been arrested for this sort of thing, we have the presumption of innocence that every right-minded citizen applies. We also have a belief that people in the public eye, or people who are being investigated, should be done so in the public eye. And the reason for that is that people come forward with evidence which might implicate or might exonerate the individual concerned. And that happens every day of the week. And it's important that those people, those potential witnesses, have the opportunity to come forward.
The people that accused Paul Gambaccini, should they be named now?
Well, I think that's a matter for the police. Often complainants are named. We know who they are. Sometimes they sell their stories to Sunday newspapers, so it may be that we'll find out tomorrow. But the bottom line of this is that invariably the police do release such information as they feel is necessary to assist them with their inquiries, and very often that includes the name of the complainant, because, of course, if there's going to be information put into the public domain, then in those circumstances that you have to know who it is. Of course, we have particular rules around sex offences, particularly because of the stigma which may be associated with some types of sex offences, where we do allow people to remain anonymous through to trial if that's felt appropriate because of the type of case.
It's interesting you said, just going back on something you said, that because, have I got this right, because he's a celebrity, he should have been named?
No, I think I think the point is that everybody is named. I think what it's...
Is that fair, though? Because anybody could come out and... I could say, Mark, that you abused me in the 80s. It goes, it becomes a big story. Completely untrue, but your name will have been slurred in public, and people will always have that suspicion about you.
Yes, that is the case, and that is the system that we have. And, of course, many people will step forward on my behalf to defend me because they'll say, he never knew him and was never anywhere near him at that point in time. So as a result of that, I would have the benefit of being named publicly and effectively getting witnesses to come forward in my defence. Now, I appreciate that, this public form of justice that we have in this country has perhaps a wider impact on celebrities than it does on Joe Public. But Joe Public is treated in exactly the same way. And then I think that leads you to the question of, should we be treating celebrities in a different manner merely because they are celebrities? And I think probably not. I mean, we have to look at the litany of celebrities who have been sent to jail or been convicted of historic sex offences in the recent past. And I think in those circumstances, the fact that their cases were in the public eye probably did no harm at all. And
well, Stuart Hall is the big example, isn't it, of where it was obviously the right thing to name him because loads of other victims came forward.
Well, I think that's right, but I think also the same happened in the Rolf Harris trial and also in the Max Clifford case. So, I think that there are always cases where this occurs, and of course it gives police additional lines of inquiry, and it also means that our justice system works better because the police have more information on which to rely. It's very difficult. They're very often asked to put together a jigsaw of what happened, where and when, and it's that jigsaw which is the real difficulty, which I think we have to play with, and that's why the investigations, which are very carefully done by the police,
of course,
do take some time.
I have an argument, and it sounds like a really childish argument, and I can't form it very well. So I'm hoping you'll understand. It's not fair, is it? It's not fair on Paul Gambaccini. He hasn't worked for a year. I'm sure he's got a few quid. I'm sure he's okay. He's not worked for a year, and people... It's not been front-page news that no charges will be made, so people will always have that air of suspicion about him. It's just not fair.
I think in a sort of colloquial sense, you're absolutely right. It's not fair. But it's not fair on him because he's a celebrity and because the sort of people who employ him require their broadcasters to be whiter than white, as it were, like Caesar's wife, above and beyond reproach. Well, we now know that Paul Gambaccini is above and beyond reproach. I hope he will get a job tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the impact, I think, is bigger. It is greater on celebrities, but I don't think that is a reason to treat them differently. What, at the end of the day, is most important is that justice is done and that we get the crooks behind bars and that the innocent walk free, the innocent like Paul Gambaccini.
Mark, really fascinating talking to you. I appreciate your time. Mark Stevens, media lawyer. Man alive, if he's not on Radio 2 tomorrow, not Mark Stevens, Paul Gambaccini, then there's no justice in the world. Is there Radio 2? I'm sure he will be on there quite sharpish. But Radio 2 should have been on the phone last night saying, Paul, when you coming back? When you got any gaps in your diary? Paul Gambaccini goes, yeah. And then he gets signed up immediately. It's I can't express it any better than it's not fair. It's not fair. He's not worked for a year. I couldn't afford not to work for a year. Could you? And there will always be people. Paul Gambaccini walks into a bar. It's not the start of a joke. But people will be nudging each other. And there's Gambo. Look out, lads. There's Gambo. Remember what he got up to? Well, he got up to nothing, it turns out. Will you be honest? When you see these celebrities who have been cleared, either no charges have been made or they've gone through a court case and been found innocent, the first thing you think of is that court case, isn't it? Kevin Webster, I can never remember his real name, Michael Lavelle. When he comes on, the first thing I think of is that court case where he was found completely innocent. 03453 009956. Is that the first thing you think of when you see these people? And how the hell do we as a nation apologise to Paul Gambaccini? Matt's in Solihull. Good morning, Matt.
Hello there. How are you getting on? I've been waiting all last night, sitting up, hoping I'd get a prize from you or something, for my vocabulary, which is very good. It's an age problem I have.
Your vocabulary switch is rubbish.
Yes. Anyway, I'm going in the defence of Malala.
In you go.
This was a very nice girl who tried to do some good in her country and she got shot.
And can I just say, Matt, I heard you on Danny's show yesterday, don't bring in Asian bus drivers because they've got absolutely nothing. It's what you used to about Asian bus drivers yesterday. They've got nothing to do with it.
Well, even so, they are very good bus drivers. You see, they're they're not nasty like the old fuddy-duddies men in the 60s that driving these buses, and they nearly throw the sooner run around empty their own to pick up anybody.
You say bus drivers in the 60s. I have to say this, and we can do this for the rest of the show. bus drivers, the majority of bus drivers are the most miserable men in the world, aren't they? Some of them are so grumpy and rude.
The young bus drivers are all right, but the ones over 60, God help us.
I once saw a bus driver, while he was driving, rolling a magic cigarette, a joint, a doobie. He was rolling a joint as he was driving his bus.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. I know, isn't that incredible?
You were looking at a 1950s film, weren't you?
No, this was happening in North London about 3 years ago. And for those in the know, wink, wink, he wasn't using grass, he was using hash, which makes it even harder to roll,
Jesus,
apparently.
God almighty.
Yes.
And you live in a place like that, do you?
I used to live in a place like that, not no more.
So now you're in Birmingham. Yeah. Bossel Heath, is it?
I'm in Birmingham right now, yes.
Yeah, I see.
This very second.
But Malala, you had a few old birds on.
The Malala Malarkey, yes.
Yes, you had a few old birds criticising her and talking about whether or not she should pay this and who should pay the other. And I think myself, I would advise them girls to get a few toy boys, to wake them up a bit.
Well, they've got their Danielle Steels.
Yeah, yes, well, anything at all, just to wake them up a bit and forget running her. We had a good few on yesterday, just running her down and her family, and is their father paying his way and all this.
Well, but that to one
side. Will you
side.
shut up for a minute and let me talk? And we have thousands of young people on pensions that have 4 or 5 kids, and on pensions for the rest of their lives here. There's nobody talking about them. They won't pick up a job. There is plenty of jobs about. I met a coloured man on the bus the other day. I was talking to him. He's in this country 12 months, I think he come in here, and he's got a job. He said, I said, are you working? He says, I didn't come in to claim money. I come in looking for a job, and I got one, he said. And the money is all right, and I'm satisfied. He said, it's not too big. He said, and it suits me, but I like the job.
Can I speak yet?
Then there is jobs about, but they won't go and look for them, will they?
Can I speak yet?
So have you got enough of me now, have you?
Can I speak yet?
Yes, you can do. Yes.
Goodness.
I'll give you 5 minutes after that you're off.
Thanks, Matt. It's appreciated. What has Malala... she's been through some amazing things. She could be described as a hero. She is certainly an inspiration... that I achieve half the things that she's done, but what has she achieved, really? What difference has she made?
What girls of her age has achieved anything big? I mean, I wasn't 16 when I was in Burma, in 1945. I didn't see you there or your dad.
Matt?
Am I trying to get a ticket? No, I'm not. I'm very sorry.
I'm not really listening, I'll be honest. Matt, say hello to Simon.
Pardon?
Say hello to Simon.
Who was Simon?
Simon?
Hello.
Yeah, Simon, say hello to Matt.
Hello, Matt.
How are you doing? Which one is Simon, then?
Simon, do you think Malala deserves the Nobel Peace Prize?
No.
Tell Matt why. And turn your radio off as well, one of you. Whoever's got your radio on, turn it off.
Sorry, that's probably me.
Thank you.
I'll tell you why, right? Yes, she's inspirational, as you stated. Yeah?
Yeah.
She's done this, she's done that, she's done the other, right? At the end of the day, she got hurt in her own country, the Taliban or whoever shot her in the head. We brought her over here, we saved her life, we operated on her, and job done as far as I'm concerned. Why should we have to pay, right, for her to go to private school like that lady says? She goes on trips around the world preaching about education for women and this, that and the other. Who funds all that? Who funds all that? We do, probably, the taxpayer.
Well... I think...
Our job was done. We saved the life, job done, finished. That's it. It's about time this country started looking after other people, right?
Hello.
I can't afford to send my daughter to a private school, yeah? My daughter is in the top 5% of gifted and talented children in this country.
Well done.
Right? So, Cameron, come and 1,500 quid a month to send my daughter to school.
The school...
Because my daughter's the future of this country, not Malala.
Well, hang on a second. Malala is the future as well.
Right, we did our bit, mate. We spent all the money and saved the life, which is a good thing. I'm not knocking that. But we're not. Why should we pay for everything else? She goes on trips around the world about this, that. Who pays for that?
Right, OK.
I bet she's not working. I bet she ain't got a job yet. She's not old enough.
No, she's working for the United Nations.
Well, there you go.
The school is paying for her education.
Yes, but but that's probably coming out of the taxpayers' money, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's a private school. The school are covering it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Matt, have you gone? Oh, Matt's disappeared. The school are covering... Are you suggesting we send her back to Pakistan?
Difficult one.
She'll be shot. She'll be shot within hours.
I'm just fed up with this country bending over backwards for foreigners and not helping our own.
But they do... But Simon, we do help our own.
We do not, Ian. We don't. Get in the real world. Man, there's too many goody-goodies in this country bending over backwards saying, all these people from abroad, this, that and the other, mate. They don't. Houses, council houses, people screaming out for them. Right? Some empty. I could take you to 3 or 4 empty houses. Turn around to the council. How about that? How about that? Oh, we can't give them to our people. They've got to be so many. It's got to be reserved for the foreigners. This, that, and the other. Why? It does my head in.
Simon, when has a councillor said we can't give them to our people? They have to go to foreigners.
Listen, there's council houses.
Where have you heard that said?
I've heard it because I've applied for one. Right?
And they've said the councillor said. We can't give you that fact. We don't give it to our people. We give them to foreigners.
I'm going back a couple of years, and I've spotted. I went to ask for a council flat, right, over certain personal matters. But anyway, right. Yes. So long story short, I went to the council. You'll have to go on the waiting list. I said, yeah, fair enough, don't mind. Yep. Category, whatever. And then I went round and I waited months and months and months. I went round and I've spotted all these empty properties and this, that and the other. And I actually went up and I said, well, I can't apply to that one. Can I apply to that one? No, those are reserved for, immigrants and what have you. Right? 2 3-bedroom houses down the bottom of the street of my ex-missus' house, right? Empty.
How many? Was it just
Who's
you?
moved into them? Polish.
Right, Simon. Was it just you looking for a property on your own?
Yes.
Well, good. I'm glad you didn't get a 3-bedroom house then.
I wasn't looking for a house, I was looking for a flat. What I'm just saying, right, is I spotted flats and this, that and the other, went round, applied for them, and they said, no, they're for so-and-so, right? 2 3-bedroom houses at the bottom of my ex-partner's house, right, street, yeah?
Yeah, well, you can't... You're not going to expect them... They're not going to... You can't expect to be given a house just down the street from your ex-missus.
Oh, it wasn't on about me. I'm just saying as an example, there's 2 houses there when there's families crying out, our own families.
What do you mean by
our own
What
people,
do you mean by our own...
people, right. English people who have been here for years, crying out, right, because they want to move or they haven't got, and we're all going on about the housing thing, that and the other, and they go and give them 2 lots of Polish families. Why? Does my head in.
Simon?
Yes?
If you had to lose a finger, which finger would it be?
I couldn't use the middle one, mate, because I'll need that to stick it up to you sometimes.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, listen, if you want to comment on what Simon was saying, very passionate. Very passionate. That was a good line at the end. Well done. 03453 0099. I cannot believe that the council... And listen, I've spoken to plums on councils before. I cannot believe the council would have said, we can't give you that. We can't give them to our own. We have to give them to the foreigners. That sentence has never been uttered by a councillor or a member of council staff. Ever. Ever. 03453 009956. Should we have Gordon, Shouty Gordon, stay there. I'll come to you after the travel. A little recap of what we're talking about. Are you proud that the EDL are marching in Birmingham? You should be. You should be proud that the EDL... Oh, the phones have gone bonkers. I wonder why. You should be proud the EDL are marching in Birmingham. 03453 009956. Should Malala have got the Nobel Peace Prize? How do we apologise to Paul Gambaccini? And here's a good one. What has your mum found or seen of yours or seen you doing that you'd rather she'd not? 03453 009956. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Lizanne.
Thanks very much, Ian. If you're heading into Birmingham, it's a little bit slow on the Hagley Road as you make your way to Five Ways Island, back down towards the Ivybush traffic lights. A lot of traffic heading in, as you might expect. It is busy in the city centre, and obviously there's disruption for the English Defence League rally today. So if you are heading into the city centre, do be aware of that. Looking slower through Dudley on the Birmingham Road, the A461 at the Burntree and Tiverdale Road junction. The Burntree traffic lights there building up. Usual amount of traffic there causing a bit of an extra queue for you. If you're heading out through Lichfield on Walsall Road, we've got 5 horses that have been counted on the road at Walsall Road and Boat Lane. It's near Oddfellows and the boat pub, so if you're heading along there, do take extra care. Not doing too badly for our stretch of the motorway, the M6, the M5 and the M42, all 3 there looking fine on the cameras and sensors. If you're heading out on trains, they're running on time, but if you can update us, it's BBC WM 95.6 travel on 08453 002288.
The voice of Birmingham in the Black Country.
BBC WM
95.6.
It's Shouty Gordon. Good morning, Shouty. Shouty, where are you? Shouty? Oh, yeah. You all right, boss?
Hello, good morning, Jim.
What are you shouting about today?
Very calm and collected, like you.
You're not shouting to... Hang on. That's Jeff. Jeff, hang on a second. Calm down. Shouty Gordon, where are you?
I'm maybe in Lee Bank.
Oh, flippin'. What is going on? Yeah, I know you're in Lee Bank.
All I wanted to say was about Malala.
I can't believe we had a Shouty Gordon impersonator infiltrating the show. Can you believe that, Shouty Gordon? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, what do you want to shout about today?
I don't want to shout about nothing, thank you.
OK, well, then don't.
I haven't.
You do? You are?
I'm not.
You are?
How am I shouting?
That's a shout!
Well, I'm sorry, I haven't got my radio on.
Can you do a whisper?
Yeah, of course I can.
Go on, then.
Right, now then, all I was going to say
that's quite a shouty whisper.
Oh, God, blimey.
That's it. That was it.
Is it a bad line?
He's shouting again now. It's a
Is it a bad line?
It's a bad life for one of us, maybe both. Anyway, what do you want to bang on about?
I don't want to bang on. All I wanted to say was Malala.
Yeah.
I think she deserved it. Because, like you said, she works for the United... She goes on these foreign countries with the United Nations.
Yeah, so does Angelina Jolie and Posh Spice.
Yeah, OK, but they don't preach education, do they?
No, they preach pop and fashion.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But really, in the great scheme of things, though, Shouty, what has she actually done, Malala? What has she done? The Nobel Peace Prize is one of those mythical things that us mere mortals can only dream of winning. You've got to do something amazing and courageous beyond courage to make a huge change in the world. And really, what change has she made?
I think she's made quite a good change in school.
Tell me.
In education-wise...
Tell me what she's done.
Why should Malala be recognised as a person who believes in women's rights by an education? And not just women's rights.
I believe in women's...
Hang on. Go on, then.
Thank you. I believe in women's rights and education. So, some women's rights. Let's not get carried away. Should I win the Nobel Peace Prize?
I didn't say you shouldn't.
Oh.
But that's up to the people who want to vote for you. If they want to vote and say, yeah, we think you deserve it, then fair play to you.
You can't just win the Nobel...
No, true. But she's proved, and the education, people should get it. Not in these foreign countries where they turn around and say, children are not allowed to have an education. They're told what to bloody well do. I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
Yeah, but I think they should have that women should be educated in Pakistan as well. But I haven't made any breakthrough in that, and it could be argued that Malala hasn't made any breakthrough in that. She's just saying it.
No, I don't think she is.
The fella that she won it with, Shouty, right? He has rescued children for the last 30 years from slave labour and for making all kinds of trainers and rubbish stuff for us, OK? He's physically rescued children, right? Malala's done a few speeches.
OK, so this guy, whoever he is, he's rescued children.
Yeah, and the fact is, we don't even know his name. I don't even know the name of the other fella that's won the Nobel Peace Prize. I know Malala's.
I don't know the bloody name either.
Will you watch your language?
I'm sorry.
Yes,
but you go on.
Yes.
You go on.
Yes.
And you go on saying, you don't know who this guy is.
No, exactly. And
I don't know who the guy is.
I don't know who the guy is.
Well then, what are you babbling on about?
I'm saying that neither of us know who the guy is.
Thank you.
Exactly. Do you know? Do you know who he is?
No.
I don't know who he is.
No, me.
So I win the argument then.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Shouty Gordon. Yes, we have no Malalas. 03453 009956. Mo's in Tamworth. Morning, Mo.
Good morning, dear.
At last, a calm voice of reason. Oh, no, hang on, it's Mo.
Well, you can be the judge of that when we finish.
All right, have you been drinking?
Of course not. I don't drink at all.
Okay, smoking?
I don't like alcohol.
Smoking da herb?
Sorry?
Have you been... You sound very relaxed this morning.
I think it's because I've got a few things done.
Have you read a Danielle Steele? Is that what it is?
No, would never have that book in my house.
Why?
It's not my style.
50 Shades of Grey?
Never.
Whoa,
I live
really?
in the real world, Ian.
Yeah.
Realism is what I'm all about.
So you actually do these things instead of just reading about them?
Do what things?
Anyway, Mo, what have you called in about?
What I'm calling about is I've heard quite a few negative comments concerning Malala, and I'm quite cross about it.
Yeah, go on.
But I'm not going to get personal, because all I want to say is no matter how many people you compare her to as regards to what she stands for, not one of them stood up to the Taliban when they were 14 years old. That's what she did.
Well, did she stand up to the Taliban?
Yes, because she comes from Pakistan. It's one of the most dangerous countries in the world. She would know that above all else.
Yeah.
And she still proceeded with a strong message concerning girls and their education.
Yeah.
Now, that to me is exceptionally brave. A 14-year-old to do that. Ian, I mean, what other word can be used? And she's still being brave concerning the same subject and travelling the world doing it.
She became famous, didn't she, when she was 11 or 12, when she was writing a blog for the BBC talking about living under Taliban occupation.
Yes.
But again, lots of people do that.
No, but I'm not talking about blogging. I'm talking about why she was shot. She was shot in the head.
Yeah.
How many of us are going to go through life and get shot through the head?
Well, yeah, but lots of people unfortunately do get shot in the head.
Yeah, well, they're usually soldiers.
Yeah, but why don't we give them the Nobel Peace Prize? Because they're actually doing something.
Well, you're underestimating what she's doing. Her message is strong and it's true.
I've got a strong, true message. But
well, did you get shot for it?
No, I haven't been shot.
And you're not likely to, are you?
Is it just then, Mo, that she's got a strong, clear message and she was shot? Those are the two things that that won her this.
Message in the area of the world that she is from is powerful. There are, in the century we live in, we've still got people. Unfortunately, I don't mean to be sexist, usually men, that hold power over women as to whether they will be educated or not. Because their idea is to keep women down.
Mo,
we all know the history of that. It used to happen here.
Mo, listen, you got the vote. You can nearly earn as much as me. What more do you want?
I want more Malalas.
Yeah, OK. But the thing is, no, I don't think there are many people in this country that would disagree that the subjugation of women is a bad thing. Is that the right word? Women? Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's a terrible thing. Of course, it's a terrible thing. But the message seems pretty obvious.
Yeah, but there's nobody in
There are people, Mo. There are people who go around and they save dying babies, right?
Sorry, I missed something there. They what babies?
They save dying babies.
Yes.
Yeah, they go around saving dying babies. Right?
Yes.
Well, give them the Nobel Peace Prize. They've actually saved lives.
Listen, I've got nothing against that. Maybe there's room for everybody. Maybe
Yes.
everybody with an absolute cause.
Nothing against
deserves
saving dying
it.
babies. Good
But don't knock Malala.
I'm not knocking. I've not. If you
No, not you.
Thank you.
Your male callers mainly, Ian.
Oh.
They are, and they, the truth is the truth, and a lot of them, they're saying things they shouldn't be saying because they're not going to the root of the matter.
Because it's
and
men.
what her message is all about.
So it's because it's men.
It is mainly this morning.
Yeah, it's men. Saying that Malala doesn't deserve the prize, yeah?
Yes, having a go at her family as well.
Yeah. Okay, say hello to Tracy.
Hello, Tracy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Tracy, are you a man?
No, I'm a woman.
Does the Malala deserve the Nobel Peace Prize?
No, I don't think she does.
Boom shakalaka, tell me why.
Because I feel that Malala is, what she's done is admirable to educate the people back in Pakistan, but we're talking about UK, and also I don't think there are a lot of people in the world that have done a hell of a lot more for the world, and they've not received the Nobel Prize. So I can't see, she was shot, which was not nice, and at the end of the day, she should be gone back home. I do agree with the other caller, and at the end of the day, I think that maybe MB later, but I think at the moment, I don't think it was a wrong decision.
Mo?
No, can't agree with that. I mean, comparing her to other people is not fair. None of the other people that have been mentioned were 14 years old and got shot.
Yeah, but there are a lot of other children get shot and a lot of other people get hurt. But, I mean, obviously, she was... Her Taliban and all that highlighted.
Most people who get shot, who are carrying a message such as she is, go into hiding and stay there.
Yeah, but it's still, but I know it's wrong, but she fought. But at the end of the day, there are other people who have been fighting for rights for humans, etc.
Well, I've got nothing against other people fighting for whatever their cause may be.
But I still think it's wrong.
I'm just against people, Tracy. Was it Tracy? It was something. I'm just against people who want to put Malala down for being probably the bravest 14-year-old I've ever known or ever heard of.
But there are a lot of other brainy kids as well. But I also
not doing what she's done.
Yeah, she's done, but she did what I admit that back at her homeland, the women are not given right to educate, and there are a lot of people in back home they can't because of the poor country. They haven't got the education. So she in one way she is fighting for women's rights. Exactly. There are a lot of women that fought for women's rights, but at the end
the world, Tracy, the world will improve. Progress, get better, be enhanced in every way with children being educated.
Yeah, which is true, but I still think that she shouldn't have got the prize yet. I don't think you
and the other people, the other callers, and I'm not being personal, please excuse me saying this, I don't think
I think she's about to be personal, Tracy.
I don't think you're realising the strength of what Malala's doing.
No, I do, because I don't forget I'm originally from that country, and I know exactly what goes on and how badly the women are treated.
Why you should... Are you from Pakistan?
Originally, yes.
Well, then, all the more reason why you should be on her side 100%. You should support what she's doing. Yeah, but, you know what's going on there. You probably know the situation there for girls is worse now than it was.
Yeah, but she's fighting, but I still think that she should have gone back home and fought back in that country and carried on.
She's doing it now on the world stage. She's doing it now internationally. As a child still, she will be listened to and heard.
Okay.
And she's worth listening to.
Tracy, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you, Tracy. Mo, before I let you go, you're going to lose a finger. Which finger is it going to be? Mo?
Why do I have to lose a finger, Ian?
To save the world.
Oh.
You say so? I'm a super criminal. I'm German. Let's say I'm German. Okay, Mo, you are going to lose. I can't do a German accent. It turns out, I was like being a German baddie from a James Bond film. I can't do a German. Okay, Mo, you are going to lose a finger, or I will blow up the world. Which finger is it going to be?
My fish finger.
What a horrible image you've just put in my head. Thank you, Mo. See, it's being so cheeky, we are going to blow up the world. I was being a German bad guy from like a Bond film or something. I think I was being Christopher Walken in The Living Daylights. I think that's who I was aiming for. Well, Mo, you thought you were being clever. You've just got the whole world blown up. Happy now, Mo? Is that what you wanted? Blimey. There's only another hour of this nonsense left. What are we talking about in the next... Well, carry on talking about Malala. That really has caught you by the scruff of the neck, hasn't it? Oh! They're allowed to advertise electronic cigarettes on the television. Yeah, that's the worst idea ever, isn't it? Do you want to see electronic cigarettes, e-cigs, vapes advertised on your television? Do give us a call.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 11 o'clock. It's BBC WM 95.6. Another hour of this nonsense. I can only apologise. Here's Rebecca Dixon with the news.
The English Defence League are protesting in Birmingham today. Police say it will be business as usual for the city. They've got no powers to stop the protest in Centenary Square. There'll also be a counter-protest by the group United Against Fascism nearby in Victoria Square. Dr Evan Harris is a former Liberal Democrat MP and a civil liberties campaigner. He says both sides have a right to protest.
As long as it's peaceful, and as long as what they say is within the law, and if what they say isn't within the law, you don't ban it in advance. You prosecute them if they say it. If, for example, they incite racial hatred. But banning is never a good idea because it drives stuff underground, and worst of all, it creates free speech martyrs of people who are often quite extreme.
The UKIP leader Nigel Farage is campaigning in the Kent constituency of Rochester and Stroud with Mark Reckless and Douglas Carswell, the two MPs who defected from the Conservatives. UKIP hopes to build on its success in the Clacton by-election yesterday, where it gained its first seat at Westminster. Mr Farage has dismissed warnings from David Cameron that a vote for his party is in essence a vote for Ed Miliband, and he says UKIP has all the main parties in its sights.
If anybody asks, are we targeting Tory votes? Are we targeting Labour votes? Are we targeting, well, not really worth targeting Lib Dem votes anymore. Are we targeting non-voters? Yeah. We are targeting everybody in this campaign. Yeah. Absolutely.
Doctors, nurses and paramedics across the UK will take part in a major exercise today to test how ready they are to deal with a potential outbreak of Ebola. The emergency services, government ministers and health chiefs will all be involved in the 8-hour rehearsal. The Lib Dem MP for Yardley, John Hemming, says he's confident of winning an appeal after he lost a case about green waste in Birmingham. He'd been ordered to pay £13,000 after taking the City Council to court over the amount of garden waste being dumped because charges for collecting it were introduced. He says it's still a partial victory.
I was arguing that they should take into account all the evidence currently of green waste littering Yardley, and the judge only wanted to look at the evidence from a few months ago. We've done quite well in getting rubbish cleared up, actually, so if you look around, because of the court case, quite a lot of rubbish has been cleared up, but it's not all being cleared up, and I was trying to get it all cleared up.
And 12 of the dullest men in Britain are meeting up in Birmingham today to launch the Dull Men of Great Britain calendar. Among them is Kevin Beresford from Redditch, who admits to being a roundabout spotter, and a Worcestershire man who has his own milk bottle museum, and a traffic cone collector from the Cotswolds also feature on the calendar. A look at the football, and the Albion striker Saido Berahino scored a late penalty to give England's under-21 team a 2-1 win over Croatia at Molineux last night. They'll now head to the continent for a testing second leg next week. Walsall will be seeking to continue a run that has seen them lose just one of their last 6 League One matches at Oldham Athletic this afternoon. There'll be full coverage here on BBC WM 95.6 from 3 o'clock. And Stourbridge make the long journey up to County Durham to take on Shildon in the third qualifying round of the FA Cup. Also hoping to progress to the final qualifying round of the competition are Tamworth and Halesowen, and we'll have reporters at all 3 games. Quick look at the weather, and a nice afternoon ahead. Some thundery showers around occasionally. Highs of 14 degrees Celsius. That's 57 degrees Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays 9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Producer Joe and I were just saying, isn't sport dull? And I said, and I think this is a perfectly sensible thing, I know, I wish I liked sport because then it would be so easy to fill my life. Well, I'd just be constantly occupied because I'd be watching sport and reading about sport and remembering sportsmen's names. I wouldn't play it, I'm not stupid. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Man alive, you've really risen to the challenge. Yesterday's show, 2 till 4 on a Friday, was cracking. This one, we've taken that baton and we have run with it like there's no tomorrow. You're going to lose a finger to save the world. Which finger is it going to be? These aren't necessarily in order of importance, by the way. Did Malala deserve to win the Nobel Peace Prize? What else are we talking about? Oh, yeah. Are you proud, Brummies, that the EDL are marching in your city? You should be. I think it displays a real tolerance and a respect for, well, surprisingly, human rights. And coming up, e-cigarettes. They are allowed to be advertised on the television. Regular listeners will know my feelings towards the vapists and their community. Are you bothered that they're being advertised on the telly? It kind of makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. 03453 00 9956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
OK, so there's a big EDL march happening in Birmingham today. Could cost up to, £1 million to police it. Are you proud that the EDL are marching in your town, city? I think you should be. It shows tolerance. It shows a willingness to accept other people's opinions, whether you agree with them or not. Giovanni's on the line. Morning, Giovanni.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Are you proud that the EDL will be marching in Birmingham today?
That's a really tricky one. I'm proud of all those facts that you said earlier on, showing tolerance and such like. Something that the EDL don't show, obviously. So there's an irony there, is there not? No, I'm not proud of the fact that EDL are allowed. It's just generating hate, isn't it? And I've just walked past the Centenary Square to come through to Victoria Square, where the counter demo is. I suppose, like you say, there's an issue that, yes, as a democratic society, you should allow stuff like this to happen and people to air their views. But sadly, the EDL are not open to conversation. They're not open. They're a fascist organisation who are notoriously. Would we let the Taliban have a demo? Would we let ISIS have
Giovanni,
a demo?
As
here?
far as I'm aware, and I could be corrected, I don't think the EDL have filmed themselves beheading anybody.
Oh,
so it's a slightly unfair comparison.
Time. It's just a
You
matter of
don't believe
time.
that, do you?
I totally do believe that, I'm afraid, because people, the irony is that they go, oh, look at all these Muslimic ray guns and all these nasty, terrible Muslims. They're talking about a minority terrorist group, and they are exactly that.
Giovanni,
EDL are exactly
Giovanni,
that, or will become that if
Giovanni,
given the opportunity.
Stay there. Paul's in Darlaston. Paul, you're a member of the EDL, is that right?
I am, yes.
You're a fascist terrorist.
I know, he's absolutely talking through his backside, isn't he, really?
Tell him why.
Well, as you said, there's going to be no beheading by an EDL member, for a start. And he says that the terrorist organisations are just, there's not many of them about. They're all over the place. Birmingham, Leeds, Sheffield, they're all in little clusters, hiding away. Right? I'm not a racist myself.
But
if there's any racism that's happened, it's because Cameron and his government have made people racist towards Muslims. And
well, I don't think, with great respect, I don't think David Cameron could make people racist.
He contributed to it by his like what he's put out to people.
Paul, are you going to go on the march today?
I can't go today because I've got family issues. But
okay, so you can't go. Giovanni, are you going on the counter march? The opposition.
I'm here right now. I'm here right now.
Is part of the part of me thinks that the opposite side, what are they called? The League Against Fascism. What are they called?
Well, I don't know what we don't really. You know, it's just essentially there's a sign here. It says "Hope not hate." hate, what's it say? Love music, hate racism. I'm just reading some of the signs here.
Listen, I love music, I hate racism, but there would be less trouble and the policing would cost significantly less if there wasn't a counter demonstration. Isn't it?
It would cost significantly less if there wasn't an EDL demonstration.
There would be even less. But
come on, Iain. Come on, Iain. Come on, this is England.
Paul, hang on a second. I'll let you come in a second, Paul. But it could be said, Giovanni, that the counter-demonstration is the one that's going to cause all of the trouble. If you weren't there...
It could also be said that there would be no counter-demonstration if the EDL didn't decide to come out.
And you can keep coming back with things like that.
Oh, I've had enough of this, mate.
No, Giovanni, don't hang up. Don't hang up, because then he's hung up.
See, that's what I mean, Ian. See, right. OK. You start to get to the truth and they run off, yes? I've been on many marches with the EDL, Walthamstow, other parts of London, Bristol, and the worst one I went to was Warsaw.
But Paul, why do you do it when you know it creates trouble? You know there's going to be tension. You know it's going to cost £1 million.
I'm 56 years old.
You know it's going to cost £1 million today to police this. It's a waste of money, isn't it?
For both parties, yes. For both. It's not a waste of money.
But tell me why it's not a waste of money.
Because nobody else is standing up for this country and speaking the truth, besides Mr Farage, of course. They're all liars. They don't tell you the truth. And the chap who was on about getting a council flat for himself, where did he come from?
It's quite an unpleasant message that you're giving, though. It's interpreted by many. Paul, let me finish.
Yeah?
Paul, let me finish. It's been interpreted by many as a message of hatred.
I'll tell you a couple more things because I want to. Obviously,
is it a message of hatred?
No, it's not.
So what is the message? What is the protest for today?
For the last 10 days in Darlaston, right, Ian, there's been a coach pull-up opposite the Asda in Darlaston, and 30 to 40 immigrants have gone off every day for the last 10 days, all Polish. Right?
How do you know they're all Polish?
Because I spoke to them.
Oh, you spoke to all of them?
Every coach that come off, they're all whether they're Polish.
Every day you spoke to a coach full of 40 people, every person on that coach to establish they were all Polish?
Well, I spoke to not everybody on the coach, but they're definitely all immigrants because it's around the town. It's a small town.
Well, how do you know? But again, Paul,
the queue up outside the council office waiting for it to open. Yeah.
Yeah.
It opened. They all trudge in with the bags, suitcases, bags or whatever. They all trudge when they've all signed the forms. Because I know somebody works in the council office. Yeah. They all trudge down to the dentist. I know the lady on the reception.
They all go to the dentist every day. 40 Poles are going to the dentist every day.
Yeah, the queue up outside and they sign the form to get the free dentistry, yeah? And then a line of taxis come. They jump... And I know the fellow who owns the taxi company...
Oh, that's convenient, yeah.
I won't know him. Yeah, it's true, though. I won't mention him because I know him quite well.
Well, you seem to know... So they're putting a bit of business the taxi drivers' way. Brilliant.
Yeah, and they're all... And I asked him where they was going. They're all going down the Civic Centre in Warsaw. And this is true. I don't care whether you disagree with it or not. It's true.
Yep.
I had the words of his mouth. They're all going to the Civic Centre to sign on for the benefits, to claim housing benefit and whatever else.
But how does he know? He goes in there with them, does he, and watches them do it?
He has to go in and wait for them, yeah.
So he goes in while they're filling in the forms?
He's an Asian chap himself.
He's Asian, is he?
He's Indian, yeah.
Blimey. That's insane.
Well, anyway.
So what? But you've still not told me what. You've still not told me, Paul. Paul, you've still not told me what the march is about today. To stop Polish people getting dental treatment.
No, so you're a great wind-up. You're the biggest wind-up on the radio. That's why I have to ring you up.
That's why what you just said. What is the march for today?
No, I'm on about people.
Brilliant.
Young people in Britain today. Your children. What's it going to be like for your children?
It's going to be a wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful mixed country where they get to speak different languages and eat different foods.
Get somewhere to buy and they can afford. And their children.
Paul, what is the march for today?
It's to just put a point across about Islam.
Oh, hang on, you were talking about Poles a minute ago. The Poles aren't Islamic.
No, that's just my opinion about... because the amount of it... Mr Cameron said he's got immigration under control.
OK, so is the march today about immigrants or Muslims?
It's both, isn't it?
OK, so it's about both. What's your beef...
Employment and...
Oh.
Well, when I was
what's your beef with Muslims?
When I was in the march in Warsaw, we was all standing... I'm 56 years old, I don't cause trouble. Me and three of my friends, we standing and listening to Tommy Robinson talk, yeah?
Who's abandoned you lot now?
Yeah, I could tell you something about it, but you won't believe me, so it doesn't matter.
What's your beef with Muslims?
My beef with Muslims, because it's not all Muslims, it's mainly Pakistanis.
OK, what's your beef with Pakistanis?
Because they're evil, right? They're just evil, aren't they?
Pakistanis...
You tell me, all these gone to Syria, their families don't know where they've gone.
Paul, you've just said you're not a racist, and you've just said all Pakistanis are evil.
Well, OK, then. I'm a racist.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We got there in the end. I'm not a racist, but all Pakistanis are evil. Giovanni, I don't know why you put the phone down, man. You lost the argument by not being able to stick up for yourself. It could be argued that the problems, the aggression and the violence comes because there are two marches going on at the same time, the EDL and those opposing the EDL. Well, if those opposing weren't there, that would take some of the tension away. And the EDL wouldn't get that as much press as they're getting. And then you've got people like my last caller who are members of the... They're not racist, but they don't like Poles with good teeth, and all Pakistanis are evil. 03453 009956. Let's get the travel news. Here's Lizanne.
Thanks very much, Iain. If you're heading into Birmingham at the moment, obviously the march is taking place in Centenary Square and Victoria Square, but traffic in the city centre seems to be coping well. It's quite busy on the Five Ways Island as normal, but traffic's moving through there. As you head out towards the Albury stretch, traffic's coping nicely on the Ringway. No delays or problems as you head around the Halesowen Street stretch. Bear in mind through Tipton that Tipton Road is closed for emergency repairs following a burst water main. That's near to the junction of Britannia Street, so the closure's in place from Dudley Road West to Johns Lane. There's a diversion via Dudley Road West, Tiverdale Road and the new Birmingham Road onto the Burntree and Dudley Port stretch. So if you're heading through there, you will be able to get around the closure. It will just add a bit of extra time to your journey. Public transport services are coping nicely for us at the moment. No significant disruption, but if you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel on 08453 002288.
Heartlands Hospital is repeating its warning not to use its A&E department unless it's an emergency.
We're completely full, completely crowded. We've got an alert coming in to a resus room where we've had to move somebody who probably was moving out a bit too soon to accommodate the new one.
Pete Morgan at breakfast. Stilian Petrov. Petrov's back, playing Sunday football.
He is, fantastic.
But he's fit enough to be playing for Whitchall Wanderers over 35s.
And I believe he actually put one away on Sunday.
He scored on Sunday.
He did, which is fantastic.
What a side, this Whitchall Wanderers. I
tell you now.
I think we ought to go and watch.
I think we should.
Pete Morgan at breakfast.
Monday to Friday, 6 till 9.
What a wonderful way to start the day. Good morning, hello, welcome.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. I'm not a racist, but all Pakistanis are evil. That was a member of the EDL speaking just now. Your thoughts on that, please. Coming up, and you can give us a call. I'm not a fan of e-cigarettes. I don't like them, and I don't like vapists. That's the name for those who smoke them. Oh, it's not really smoking because there's no smoke. It's vaping. Oh, get a life. They're going to be allowed to advertise on television. I don't want it. I don't like it. We've come so far with things that we can and cannot advertise on television. And I don't want vaping advertised on television. Why? Why? Because it normalises smoking. It's not smoking. There's no smoke. It's vaping. Because it normalises addiction to nicotine. It normalises having to rely on a substance to keep you going, says the man who's desperately trying to come off coffee. And I don't want my boys to think that smoking, it's not smoking. I don't want my boys to think that being addicted to nicotine is a normal, socially acceptable thing. But we're making it look normal and socially acceptable by putting it on the television. Your thoughts, please. Vaping on the TV. Should it be allowed? 03453 009956. We'll get to that in a second. Chris is in Walsall. Morning, Chris.
Morning, Iain. How are you?
I'm enjoying myself today. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. How are you, boss? You all right?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad.
What have you got for us?
Malala.
Yeah, go on.
I bet sometimes she wishes that she went to Manchester rather than Birmingham.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, like at Manchester, just imagine if, like, Manchester had have adopted her as one of her own. She'd have had the choice between City and United. She'd have most probably been put on the guest list for the Stone Roses shows them years ago.
Yeah.
They'd have called her Malala Lancashire. They'd have really embraced her. Yeah, Birmingham, we don't seem too happy. She's opened a library.
You made me laugh.
I mean, like, she's opened a library, and, well, like, you know, it should have been a Brummie, really, shouldn't it? Like Roy Wood or somebody.
It does strike me as odd that this, Nobel Peace Prize to one side for a second. She is an amazing young woman who has an incredible message that is very important, that women, girls should be given the same rights to an education as men. And it's a great message, OK? And it does seem odd that so many people are so upset that she has opened a library. It's just a library. I know it's a flipping amazing library, but it's a library. It's about books. She's connected with books. Name someone else. Yeah, well, my nan has been living in Birmingham for the last 103 years. She should have opened it. No, she shouldn't. No, she shouldn't.
I think, like, what it is, it's something that, like, we've taken for granted, education, and, like, wouldn't we rather, like, our people sit up and take notice of somebody who's... I mean, like, she didn't ask to be shot in the head.
I suspect she didn't, yes. I'd be very surprised if she did.
She didn't have to be brought to Birmingham.
Yeah.
And everything else has been thrust upon her. I mean, like, she most probably didn't ask to be given the Nobel Prize. And really, I mean, like, judge her in, like, say, 15, 20 more years, maybe.
Yeah.
But, like, she can't help it. I mean, like, all she most probably wanted to do was, like, live a normal life. I mean, like, an education, is that too much to ask for? Yes, you'd think so, and that's in this country. We should just, like, sit up, take notice, and, like, learn something, and then perhaps we've got a generation of people who are going to be talking to talk shows on a Saturday with a bit of sense, who know their facts, and, like, be able to have a proper, reasonable conversation with you in about 20 years' time.
Chris, final question. Which finger would you like to lose?
Now, I've thought about this one,
I bet you have.
because which one is it, if it's the small finger, that you're mistaken for a member of the Japanese mafia? Because I mean...
The Yakuza, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Millie can most probably tell by my accent that I wouldn't want to cause embarrassment to the Japanese.
So you'll have you'll have the small finger chopped off, which isn't the one that implies you're a member of the Yakuza.
Yeah, because I do like to give it a bit of lardy-darg on the ground and stick me this pinky out when I'm drinking a pint.
I'm just being told, hang on, the left finger is the one you chop off to be in the Yakuza.
Oh, that's all right then. So it's the right one that I can stick out while I'm drinking my pint, giving it the lardy-darg on the Graham.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. He's good, isn't he? He's on good form today. He doesn't want to offend the Japanese. Well done. Thank you, Chris. You should be proud that Malala has chosen Birmingham as her home. Brummies, you should be proud of that. That's according to Chris. Your thoughts, please. 03453 009956. Now, electronic cigarettes are going to be allowed to be shown in UK TV adverts from the 10th of November. The Committee of Advertising Practice says adverts must not target under 18s or non-smokers and must not show the e-cigs in a positive light. Well, while the advertising of e-cigs on TV is currently allowed, the device itself must not appear on screen. Your thoughts on this, please. I'm joined by Paul Hooper from the West Midlands Tobacco Control Network and Ben Robertson, who's a vapist. Good morning to both of you.
Hi. Good morning.
Paul, let's start with you. Should we be advertising e-cigarettes on TV?
Well, I think I share your concerns about the renormalising of smoking, because that's what a lot of people are worried about. And I certainly feel uncomfortable when I see someone vaping inside a building. But if you look at the evidence, there's no evidence that at the moment that young people are taking up e-cigarettes. There's no evidence that non-smokers are starting to use them. They are designed to help people get off cigarettes. I would prefer people went straight from smoking to non-smoking and use the stop smoking services that are out there that can help people to do that.
Because the thing is, what a lot of these people don't seem to understand is that yes, while you may not necessarily die from e-cigarettes, although there's, that still needs to be shown, you're going to be paying the man more money because you're going to be smoking those things for longer. You're still addicted to nicotine.
Yeah, and I think you made your point already about are we about protecting people's health or ensuring that people aren't addicted to something. And I drink coffee, not so much, but I drink tea quite a lot. I drink the occasional alcohol. Are we going to stop everybody being addicted to anything? Are we going to make it that we only drink water and breathe clean air? I don't know.
There'll be some people, Paul, who think that is a great weekend. Ben, you must be... I'm assuming that you're pleased that the e-cigarettes are going to be advertised?
Honestly, yes and no. As long as they're shown after 10 p.m., which I have heard been mentioned, and they are shown... The adverts are designed for people who would use them, meaning people who smoke and wish not to smoke tobacco anymore. I don't want them glorified for young people. I don't want non-smokers vaping. I have some of the same concerns you do, but I also believe that electronic cigarettes, personal vaporizers, whatever you want to call them, have a place in the market. I was a 40-a-day smoker for almost 30 years. I started vaping. My health has improved dramatically.
Why do you not... Because I was a smoker. February next year, I won't have smoked for 10 years. Why don't you just stop, Ben?
I found it very difficult. I tried various medications which caused me huge mental health issues. I tried patches. I tried gum. With vaping, I've lowered the amount of nicotine, and I continually lower the amount of nicotine that I'm on. For me, it's worked. For millions of people in the UK, it's working.
But Ben, do you smoke as well?
No.
So you've got rid of cigarettes in your life at the moment?
I've got rid of tobacco of all sorts.
And that's brilliant, Ben, and that should be applauded, because I know how difficult it is, but it's interesting. All of the things you've said there are replacement therapies. They're all nicotine replacements. So you're still... You may have stopped the smoking, which is great, but you're still getting the nicotine in you. You've still got the addiction.
Yeah, but he's not getting the 44,000 chemicals that are associated with tobacco smoke, and that's the crucial thing about e-cigarettes, is they are safer, but not entirely safe.
According to a lot of the medical research, nicotine itself is no more harmful than caffeine. In fact, nicotine is in things like peppers, potatoes...
Aubergines, we've heard that,
and various other food substances. Most vendors, most vapers will say is that they want sensible regulation. They don't want what the EU has put about, because it will kill off what we're doing. But we'd like regulation that says you can't sell to... Most vendors won't sell to under 18s. We want that most people want that put into law. Some form of licensing, some form of control. But... the big problem we've got is that the certain parts of the media and the pharmaceutical companies don't like them because they take people away from their product, and that's where a lot of the negative press is coming from, in my opinion.
Paul, I was going to say, is that true, that pharmacists don't like e-cigarettes because they're losing money? I can't believe that's the case.
No, big pharmaceutical companies...
Hang on, Ben, let Paul come in.
Yeah, I think what Ben was referring to was the pharmaceutical companies that sell NRT, which are the nicotine replacement products. I mean, you have to be very careful with e-cigarette products, because a lot of them are made in a poor way. So if anyone is thinking of using these products, I would suggest that they consider sort of moving towards stopping smoking altogether as being the best way to save money and to get off nicotine. But if you're going to buy them, don't buy them off a market stall with a charger that might blow up, or products that aren't constructed well. Buy well-manufactured products, and be very careful about where you leave the product itself, because it contains liquid nicotine, which if a pet or a young child gets hold of, could be poisonous in the wrong hands. Ben,
are you having a cheeky little vape now?
I have had one, yeah.
Are you doing it on? Have you just done it in the last couple of minutes? Because I can hear you. Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah. Now, there might be some who think that's a little bit rude. You're doing it now!
Would you be having a go at me if I was having a cigarette on the phone to you, or a cup of coffee?
If you were having a cigarette, yes, I would.
OK, if I was having a cup of coffee?
Probably. My instinct says no.
I think what you're doing there, Iain, what you're doing there, Iain, is showing that it's not a black and white issue. You've got is you've got cigarettes that we know are harmful, that they kill 80,000 people in the UK every year. E-cigarettes have been in since 2006 or thereabouts. And when they first came in, everyone thought they'd be a flash in the pan. They're not. They're here to stay for the time being, and we've got to deal with them in a sensible way. If they're not attracting young people to smoke, they're not attracting non-smokers to smoke to use the e-cigarettes, and they are helping people get off a very dangerous product onto one that is not safe but is much safer, then from a health perspective, then you can't argue.
At the moment, Paul, they're not attracting young people. You say it's still early days, so that could change. And also, if they're seen on telly, you know, if it becomes... A lot of people started smoking when I was a kid because we saw film stars doing it. We saw, we saw adverts for it. If it becomes more normalised and more part of society, then kids could start using them.
You're absolutely right. There is a risk of that, but at the moment there's no evidence that that's happening. Okay. There's a monthly survey that's undertaken, and these new regulations that we're talking about have been brought in. They will be reviewed after a year, and if there's evidence that is changing the landscape so that young people are starting to use it, then we'll be lobbying for that to be altered.
Ben, go on, last word to you.
Okay, Ian,
yes.
You said it... What you've got to remember is that these are products designed by...
You sound terribly unfit, by the way, Ben. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
I'm just keeping the air out for my kids as well.
Okay.
When even Ash are saying that they are a good harm reduction method, and say millions of people, the only advice I would give to anyone who is thinking of it and doesn't give up, is do your research on the internet. There are lots of groups on social media that will help you find a good, reputable vendor. Don't buy from a market stall. Don't buy cheap and nasty.
And can I suggest, everyone, the way that I stopped smoking, the Alan Carr book? He's having a vape! Ben, come on, there was a silence there because you can't get rid of it.
I'm happier now than I was as a smoker, and I'm healthier now than I was as a smoker.
Ben, you're a good lad. I appreciate your time this morning. 03453 009956 is the phone number. The Alan Carr book worked for me. It took 2 or 3 reads, but it worked. Stopped. Wasn't it funny hearing him vaping away there? Your phone calls, please.
Darlaston, Edgbaston, Erdington,
Paisley, Gornal Wood. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
David is in Sunderland. Good morning, David.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Do you know what? I'm all right. I'm flagging a little bit, but I'm all right. What have you got for us?
Well, I've been listening to the conversation going on there, and I don't quite get where you're coming from. I really don't. I know you don't like e-cigs. Yeah. I don't know why you don't like e-cigs, because what both Paul and Ben have told you is perfectly true. The public health dividend that's likely to come out of these things over the next 10 to 15 years is enormous. And this opposition to advertising. Have you actually read the guidelines that CAP's come out with?
I have. I don't want any forms of addiction promoted and being normalised for my children, particularly nicotine.
Right. So you don't drink coffee in the house then?
Well, I'm trying to cut down coffee. And whether I drank coffee or not, it doesn't mean that we should look at. It's like saying I'm against murder, but rape's okay. Do you know what I mean? We start where we can.
Well, no, you.
I don't want my boys. I don't want my boys.
Going apples and oranges.
I don't want my boys to think that being addicted to nicotine is normal.
It's an interesting question. Is that addiction to anything? Define it for me. Define what an addiction is.
Well, you can't stop using something.
Well, it's not just using, it's doing as well, isn't it?
Well, no. Well, you can't stop using something, however much you try.
Well, you're talking about this. You're talking about trying to get off coffee. I don't understand why you're doing that, because it actually has health benefits. You are aware, of course, that nicotinic acid, is vitamin B3.
Oh, David, David, I don't want my boys to think that being addicted to nicotine is normal. You can't argue with that. That's a perfectly wonderful, loving thing as a father to think.
Absolutely, yes, it is.
So don't give me all this nonsense about nicotine is in potatoes and it's good for you. Of course, being addicted to nicotine is not good for you.
I'm not sure that that's the case.
Oh, David, so you would say that being addicted to nicotine is good for you?
I'm not sure that it is the case that using nicotine on a regular basis is bad for you. I actually don't like the word addicted.
But David, people are addicted to it. That last fellow we spoke to was addicted to it.
To smoking?
No, he was addicted to nicotine. He could not stop. You are addicted to the nicotine. All of this stuff about, it's a habit and I don't know what to do with my hands. Utter utter guff. It is the substance, it is the thing that changes your brain chemistry that you are addicted to.
Well, I'm going to say it's exactly like caffeine. It's exactly like alcohol. These are all things that are perfectly normal in a
We don't
civilised
advertise.
society.
But there are very strict rules on advertising alcohol on television.
And what about the very strict rules on advertising caffeine on television?
But I don't know why you're bringing caffeine into it, David.
Because nicotine and caffeine are two sides of the same coin with exactly the same addiction potential.
I am very, very happy for caffeine to be banned from advertising on television. And cigarettes and nicotine products have been banned for a long time. And it breaks my heart.
Excuse me, nicotine products?
It breaks my heart that vaping is now going to be advertised on television and is going to normalise being addicted to nicotine. I think that's so sad.
No. Nicotine products have been advertised on the television since 1973.
OK, then I retract that statement. I stand by the statement that we have gone so far by banning smoking, and now we are going to normalise being addicted to nicotine on television adverts. And as a father who wants to protect his sons, that's awful.
Don't you think that what's going to be advertised is more likely to normalise not smoking and moving to something which has been demonstrated to be orders of magnitude safer? Let me put it to you this way. I don't know how many kids you've got. How many have you got?
I've got 2.
You've got 2 kids, boys or girls?
I don't see the relevance, David. Carry on.
No. Let me. You will get the relevance if you let me carry the train of thought on. I'm going to assume you've got one of each. Why not? It makes life easier. At the moment, in the North East particularly, and I'm not so sure about the West Midlands because I'm not down there.
David, what on earth are you talking about?
Hang on, let me finish, Ian. The number of girls taking up smoking lit tobacco cigarettes is on the rise in the North East. Right? And as you have said, that is likely to be or lead to dangerous outcomes. Agreed?
Stop asking me questions and get to your point.
Well, OK. I would far rather see those teenage girls that are taking up smoking taking up e-cigs.
Oh, David, no. I'd rather see them not take it up at all. So you want them to take up being addicted to nicotine. David, that's insane, mate. That's insane. We need to change the whole process so they don't take up smoking at all. That's what we need to do. That's what we should be working towards. We shouldn't be working towards a weak, watered-down compromise. We should be aiming towards them not picking up any nicotine at all.
Do you know what? I think you're just not listening. I think you don't understand the process of harm reduction. You don't understand.
Well, but hang on. There's no harm reduction if they start taking up smoking e-cigarettes, is there?
Of course there is.
Where's the harm reduction if they've gone from not smoking anything to e-cigarettes? Where's the harm reduction?
Because if they were starting to experiment with smoking lit cigarettes, which, as you have said, will kill 50% of them earlier than they should normally go.
I didn't say that. I don't know what the statistics are.
Well, I do.
OK, well, good for you. But there's no harm. You've not. I don't think you're listening, David, because where is the harm reduction in going from not smoking anything to smoking e-cigarettes? Of course, that is a harm increase in the situation.
Have a look at the figures. There are 160,000 youths per year, per annum.
OK, David, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Susan's on the line. Morning, Susan.
Good morning, Ian.
What you got for us?
It's just an observation, really, hearing a few comments that people have been making about housing and immigrants.
Yeah.
For many, many years, we've been told that there's very large...
Shut that dog up!
Being told there's very large waiting lists for houses. And then for many, many years, we've been told there's tens and tens of thousands of immigrants coming into the country. I've not seen anywhere where there's tens of thousands of people sleeping out in the streets. So where are they staying?
I imagine some of them are buying houses. I imagine some of them are sleeping with families. I imagine some of them are renting their own properties. I imagine some of them are living in hostels. I imagine some of them are getting accommodation because of the work that they've secured. I imagine there is a very, very, very tiny minority that are dependent on housing from the council.
Well, then why do we keep seeing these programmes where there's streets and streets of immigrants in the houses?
What programmes are they?
Well, they're normally on Channel 4 and Channel 5, and they've got I can't remember the titles of the
I
programme.
haven't seen a programme where there are streets of immigrants living
well, I have.
in housing.
There was
And
one
it's council housing, it being supplied by the council.
Yes, and there was one in particular, I think it was up in Sheffield, it was highlighted, because it was all full of Roma gypsies.
Right, and that's council housing, is it?
Yes, as far as it was said, it was council housing.
So that's one street.
But then, if there's one, there's going to be many, isn't there?
I don't know, is there? Well, the thing is, we can't base this all on extrapolation and what we've read on the front page of the Daily Express.
Well, people seem to base an awful lot of things of what they're seeing on the television and on the
Well, they
paper.
shouldn't. They shouldn't base it what they see on the television.
No,
because
but
guess
they
what?
do when it suits the government, doesn't it?
Well, and they do, Susan, with the greatest of respect, they do when it suits you.
No,
That's exactly what you're doing.
No, I'm not. I just
Well, you
said
are. You just said you've seen.
Didn't.
You just said
I
you've seen.
said I'd made an observation.
You said you've seen one programme where there is a street full of Roma gypsies, and therefore it must be happening everywhere else.
Well, it must be.
So you've just extrapolated. You've just done what you said you weren't doing. Have a think about it, Susan. John's in Solihull. Morning, John.
Hello, how are you?
I'm enjoying myself.
Good.
I'm having
it's a good show.
Thank you, boss. I'm enjoying myself today. What have you got?
So, essentially, I think that, a lot of the criticism, by the way, I'm a man, but I think it's a fantastic thing that she's got the Nobel Prize.
This is Malala winning the Nobel Peace Prize, yeah.
And I would absolutely agree with anyone who said there are plenty of other people that might have done better things to, maybe more deserving. But what it represents, people need to look at the wider picture. It might be a symbolic thing, but essentially, if you look at it, that a young Muslim woman who was, to be honest, they tried to assassinate her. She was flown to Birmingham. The team at the QE saved her life, and she basically became an iconic figure for peace around the world. It wasn't just in the UK. So someone mentioned UK when it was Nobel Peace Prize. Well, this is a global thing. And if you really look at the nooks and crannies of it, it's not that she deserves it more than anyone. I think the Nobel Peace Prize is a symbolic accolade, and what it means is that there's someone out there that is for education, she's for peace, and she's for a better world for all. And to be honest, there are going to be, when Obama got something very similar, there were many critiques of him. But if you looked at what he'd done symbolically, there were positives there. Yes, there are going to be negatives, but I think people are so negative. They need to be a bit more positive and look at the good things that we've got going on. Yes, you can be critical, but I'm trying to be a bit more optimistic.
I am surprised in the amount of people that are upset that Malala opened the library in Birmingham.
Goodness me,
Surely that's a cause of celebration, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's all I really had to say on it, to be honest with you. But, I think she's fantastic.
John, if you had to lose a finger, which finger is it going to be?
This little finger on the right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. We got there in the end. Hey, look, it's 11:45. How did that happen? Last 18 minutes of the show, if you want to give me a call, 03 453 009956. Vaping, Malala, the EDL. Some guy's having a go at me on Twitter. Liam Shane Burgess. Iain Lee, open to opinions on the EDL march in Birmingham, but hates vapors. #clown. No, hashtag expressing my opinion. Are they getting angry now? Oh, the vapors. Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. Jeff's in Wolverhampton. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
I just picked up that subject on the council houses preference to the asylum seekers, immigrants, whatever.
Yep.
In the West Midlands. Well, the West Midlands is made up of 7 local authorities, like Solihull, Wolverhampton, Sandwell, Walsall, all that nonsense, right? What they do get preference. Of course. Matter of record. They'll come along, the government will instruct the local authorities, we want the first 20 houses on the list, and they're for asylum seekers.
And how do you know this, Jeff?
Oh, matter of fact, it's a matter of fact. I'll tell you how I know it. I'll tell you exactly how I know it. I had a contract to furnish and fit out these flats, mainly 2-bedroom flats, mainly male people coming in from Iraq and places like that. And Not only do they get the flat and then the top of the list, which they are, people have left the local authorities because of it, because particularly in Solihull.
But how do you know... Sorry, Jeff, just go back. How do you know that the government are telling the local councils to put immigrants on the top of the list?
Matter of record.
You keep saying that, Jeff. I don't know what that means.
Well, they are told. There's a government directive to Walsall, Birmingham or Solihull.
And that may or may not be true. I don't know. How do you know for a fact?
Well, I know for a fact because we were carried out the work.
Yes, but how do you know for a fact that
people coming in? Because people have told me. I can't name names who's doing that in. Don't be silly.
Well, no, but I don't.
But tell you factually.
Well, you say factually. I could say factually that my head is made of a balloon. But
did you? When I was there, all right. Let's go to the next stage then. What we were doing, my people.
Hashtag fact.
Yes. We were kitting out.
Yes.
These flats with every conceivable item.
Yeah.
Beds, bedding,
chairs,
wardrobe, everything.
Windows.
All the cutlery, everything else. Total fit out.
Yeah.
Then when they moved in, they arrived in a van, a 12-seater minibus, with interpreters, with another box from the local authority, with food and Christ knows what else.
And these people, were they... why were they leaving Iraq? Were they persecuted?
Well, why did they leave? Why are they leaving Turkey now and Syria? The same kind of reason.
Well, hang on. The Turks and the Syrians are leaving, I would suggest, because they're worried, I don't know, they're going to get killed.
Well, so they are in Iraq, but it doesn't mean to say they're taking priority.
Well, so hang on a second. These weren't just dodge pots that were coming over here to sponge off the system. These were actually refugees.
We can't support everyone here to sort the rest
These
of the
are
world.
refugees, Jeff.
Well, that's
their lives are in danger.
You know. Oh, well, that's their life, and that's where they choose to live.
They don't... Oh... That's their life, that's where they choose to live. Well, no, they're choosing to live here, Jeff, because if they stayed living in their own country, they would be killed. It's 11:45. It's BBC WM 95.6. Here's the travel with Lisanne.
Thanks very much, Ian. Well, if you're heading out at the moment, you'll find the Bristol Road northbound busy around Selly Oak stretch of the Priory Crossroads at Edgbaston. Just a build-up of traffic here. But elsewhere in the city centre, it looks like things are moving fairly well for you. Through Kings Heath, we have got congestion on the High Street. Just a build-up of traffic here as we head towards midday. And it's looking pretty heavy as well as you're making your way in towards the Five Ways Island. Still always a little bit slow going from the Ivybush traffic lights up to there as you queue for the roundabout. Not doing badly on motorways. The M6, M42 and M40 are moving well. Northbound M5, though, as you're heading into the region at junction 4 to the 4A stretch, we have got delays because of an earlier accident through the roadworks. All lanes are open, but it's still a bit of a schlep through that stretch. No problems or delays on trains. They seem to be running a good timetable for us today. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel on 08453 0022 88.
On Inside Out.
I thought it was an old person's disease. I don't think I'm old.
The shocking findings of the first official dementia care inspection.
90% of the places that we looked at, there was some variation in care that was not as good as it should have been.
And we ask, what's it like living with dementia?
12 months ago I asked, please God, could I have at least 12 months with Robbie? Now I'm looking for another 12 months.
That's all on Inside Out, Monday 7:30 on BBC One.
Afternoon, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. There's something very, very odd happening outside. Adrian Goldberg, who's filling in for Daz Hale, has obviously got a new toy. He's got a posh camera. He's walking around with a posh camera. But he's walking around with the posh camera in the way that my mum used to take pictures. And that he's got his mouth open, his tongue is sticking out of his mouth, and he can't move his arms or his body. It's really awkward. I'm sure... Can he not speak while he's doing it? He's got to concentrate. He's hardly David Bailey. But I'm sure the pictures... There he goes. He's in the position. Hey, look, this picture's being taken live. There we go. It took him a long time. 03453 009956. Chris is on the line. Morning, Chris. Chris.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. Yes, I got you there. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I've been listening to the conversations all morning, and it is quite frustrating. I'm not an EDL supporter. You know, I don't really believe in that group. I just think they're a splinter group that's going looking for trouble. But I have got a real big frustration on the people that are coming into the country. As regards to Lalana, I think she was just a 14-year-old girl, no disrespect to her, that was in the wrong place at the wrong time, was shot by the Taliban, which, you know, you don't wish that on anybody.
Of course not.
But yes, I do agree with people that she's been brought to this country because we could support her, we could give her the care she needed. She's better, and now we're putting her up in Birmingham.
Where should we put her up then? Manchester? Because we can't send her back to Pakistan.
No, I understand that, but I think what people are missing is the big picture. It's not about Poles coming into the country. It's not about Pakistanis coming into the country. It boils down to what the government's letting happen. And the governments have got a big responsibility in this, that we're part of a European governing body that are dictating to us as a country what we can and what we can't do. And that is the frustrating thing.
Well, hang on. What do you... Going back to Malala, what do you want to... Where do you want to send her?
Malala, I do think that really...
Malala.
That is a question I probably couldn't really answer. If I was to say send her back to her own country, that's saying I'm barbaric. I'm sending her back to be killed.
Yeah, she'd be murdered within days.
Exactly. But then again, we are a country that's sticking our nose into issues that don't really concern us.
The issue of a young girl being shot in the head, surely that concerns us because we're humans.
Right. So...
And we had the technology to fix her.
Out of all the countries that are within United Nations, why has Britain been picked?
Because we had a huge personal history with Pakistan and India. We used to own them.
Exactly. Used to being the right word.
Yeah, so we abandoned them in by the way, if you want to look into the partition of India and Pakistan, we did it really, really badly, and we totally screwed them both over. So, but we're human beings. Why would we not? We've got some of the best medical staff in the world in this city, in Birmingham. So why would we not allow a 14-year-old girl to come over and give her the best shot at being alive, at being fixed, as someone said earlier?
But then again, do you not look at a situation that's just been on the news where you had a young child that's been suffering with cancer and his parents took him out of a hospital to go to another country? They were arrested. Why did nobody step in and say, listen, we're going to help this kid?
Well, they did in the end.
After the media got hold of it and blew it all out of proportion and made it a big thing.
Yeah, well, it took a while, but people did step in and say, we're gonna sort this out. They went to a clinic, and the clinic, I think, are paying for it. And I think they've sold their story to a newspaper. Good for them. Well done.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. I'm in trouble now. This is why I was reluctant. The vapists are having a go at me on Twitter. Spank that pizza. Lack of research on e-cigarettes. Where is the public service in that? For goodness sake, at least allow contributors to speak. E-cigarette people are the biggest idiots in the world. Seriously, biggest Burks in the world. I let the contributors speak. I thought I was pretty well. I'm rising to it. I'm rising. Oh, I need a vape. I need a vape, Ken.
You're going to have a vape if you want to have a vape, mate.
No, I'm not. I'm going to resist. I'm going to resist the temptation to cave into weakness and become a nicotine addict again.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, what you got for us?
Right. Just in connection with that gentleman who was telling me about, he used to be the contractor to fit up houses for incoming asylum seekers or immigrants.
Yeah.
And you were sort of like outing him.
Yeah.
Where were the proof?
Well, the proof. You told me.
Hang on. I can give you the proof.
Go on then, Ken.
Okay. When I came out of the services, I worked for a local authority.
Yeah.
On the housing side, the first time I think that it was clean empty houses. And
I bet that was a good job. I bet you saw some great stuff, didn't you?
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But the thing was, as I progressed through the system, I then became sort of like lower management, and part of my job was to earmark properties for disasters.
Right.
So therefore, every local and I questioned, I said, what's all this for? They said every local authority must keep a certain percentage of houses or dwellings, houses, flats, masonettes, walk-ups or whatever, empty for disasters. It came to my sort of attention back in the 70s when we had the boat people coming over. And we had 4 families of boat people housed on my estate where I lived. As I progressed again through and became middle management and then upper management, it was a big thing. It was a normal thing. Certain amount of local authority houses must be kept empty, or void as they call them, for immigrants.
How long ago was that?
Well, I started in 1977 and I finished in 2006.
Okay, so that's years ago.
So,
what's the percentage of houses that had to be kept empty for immigrants?
11%.
I don't believe that, but if you're saying that's true, I have nothing to...
That was my job. You asked for proof. That was my job.
Well, that's not... Ken, with respect, that's not proof, that's hearsay. There's an email from someone. Hang on. Your caller was nearly correct. Local authorities had contracts with National Asylum Support Services to provide accommodation whilst a decision was made on their asylum claim. No priority. Councils were also getting paid for properties, often tower blocks that were standing largely empty, as UK nationals have a preference for a house, whatever the housing situation.
Yeah.
I know, I worked
that.
out. Mac in Digbeth.
But the thing is, with the right to buy that came in, a lot of the good houses were that was under the control of the local authority.
Mac also goes on to say, by the way, parents kicking their kids out and domestic abuse are amongst the biggest causes of homelessness and priority access to the waiting list. UK nationals.
Yeah, of course they are. And returning servicemen.
Oh, so hang on a second. Well, that just contradicts what you've just said and what the other caller says. Mac is saying parents kicking their kids out and domestic abuse have priority access to the waiting list.
They don't have priority access to the waiting list.
Well, this is what Mac is saying.
They have priority for emergency housing. If you're a battered man and you go to the local authority and say, I'm suffering from domestic violence, they'll say, OK, well, we'll put you up in the YMCA. If you're a battered woman and you go to the local authority and say, I'm being domestic violence against my partner, they'll say, OK, they'll rehouse you. That is the law. That is the law. 1985 Housing Act.
Ken, which finger are you going to have chopped off?
Say again, sorry?
Which finger are you going to have chopped off?
My middle finger, I think, so I'll come back to put up at you.
Thank you very much indeed. Andy's on the line. Good morning, Andy.
Hello, Ian. I don't want to argue with you.
Well, I'm in a feisty mood today, but come on, let's talk as friends.
Okay.
Let's just
no worries.
friends. Yeah,
well, it's the first time I've been on your show anyway, and I do listen to your show, and it can get a bit, a bit close to the edge.
Bit spicy. This is. Let's be honest. Who do you normally listen to? Who's your favourite on WM 95.6?
Well, it used to be Adrian Goldberg and Ed Doolan, but I listen to. So I'm clarifying my age now. But
Adrian Goldberg, I remember that name, yeah.
Yeah. I do like Danny Kelly, and I do like, what's the lad on the morning?
Well, you apparently like him so much you don't know his name.
The new lad from Stoke. I wanted his job, actually, but they don't give me. Never mind. I can't think of his name.
Pete Morgan.
That's it.
There we go. Big fan of Pete Morgan's guy. Hey, guess who's on after me at 12 o'clock?
Go on.
Adrian Goldberg.
Brilliant.
Goldie's back for a day. He was out. It was terrible. He was outside BBC WM begging. We didn't recognise him. He had a full beard. He was in a bundle of rags. I think he'd wet himself. And we all felt sorry for him. And Dad said, I tell you what, Adrian, I'm going to have the day off today. You go in. You go and work a shift, fella. You go and work a shift, Adrian, and show. We're always keen to help the elderly. Yeah, come in, Adrian. We've got a fan of yours on the line. Put your headphones on. If you go, I don't know how to work this here. Hang on a second. I can do it. Put your headphones on and say hello to Andy. Andy's a little bit of a fan of yours. Hang on one second. Let me do that. There we go. You should be on now. There, go. Oh, no, there.
Hello, Adrian.
Yeah, I hadn't wet myself. It was just I'd spilt something down my front, honestly.
If you go on the green one. Sorry, there we go. That's it.
I mean, the beard is pretty luxuriant now, I've got to be honest with you.
We thought it was Twitchy the Tramp when we were outside, and it's so sad, Andy, to see how the mighty fall. They get ideas above their station.
But he did buy a copy of the big issue off. Let's be
well, Andy, he's doing his bit for charity anyway.
He's doing it for charity. He's going to be on after midday, Andy, so make sure you're listening. What's going on? What are you here for?
Well, I'm doing early kick-off. Daz is off this week. It's the international break, but we've got lots of great football to look forward to this afternoon. I realise I'm now speaking a foreign language.
My eyes and ears have glazed over.
Well, not if you're a Walsall fan. Listen out for the Saddlers playing at Oldham today. It's the third qualifying round of the FA Cup.
Now it's getting exciting.
Stourbridge, Tamworth, Halesoe, also a bit of Hensford coverage as well today. We're going to speak as well to the former Warwickshire cricketer Paul Smith, who wrote a tell-all autobiography, because I want to talk about Kevin Peterson this week.
Is this the one that... This isn't the book about that says that Kevin Peterson was a bully? Was it?
No, Kevin Peterson is alleging that some of his teammates were bullies.
Okay.
Glad to see you've kept up with the week's big sports news here. and
he's dissing me. This is brilliant.
So we'll talk about
It's like being a caller to your show.
I want to hear about the best sports autobiographies you've read and the best and the worst FA Cup games you've seen involving non-league teams. All that coming up. Oh, about a minute from now.
We've got 30 seconds. How can I like sport? I feel I'm missing out by not liking sport.
You ought to come to the Albion with me one afternoon. It starts in the pub.
Oh, dear.
It starts in the pub.
I don't drink.
You're a lost cause.
Adrian, nice to see you, fella. Go and play with your new toy, your camera, and we'll speak to you later on. Adrian Goldberg is back. He will be on at midday. Hey, listen, everyone, I enjoyed that a lot. Thank you very, very much. Feisty and, certainly a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Back next Friday at 2 o'clock. Friday, 2 till 4. Thank you, Producer Joe. Thank you, Bernie. And breathe.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Very good morning to you. It's Adrian Goldberg at noon on a Saturday with early kick-off in for Daz Hale. So between now and 2, we'll be building up towards the afternoon's football, listening to some great